One of these things is different. Oh, and the first person to notice is going to have bragging rights. What's different? Can you guys tell? Besides the fact that I haven't put on makeup yet, because we're going to do it on stream. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Nicole. Welcome. Everyone else will be trickling in here shortly. If you are new here, even if you're not, welcome. My name is Lacey Jane, and this is Criminally Confident. And not because I am too confident in my criminality, but I'm too confident that it should be a crime. So, hence the name, because a lot of people get really offended by that. Hello, Lefty. Hello, Maybe. Hello, guys. Welcome. I am so excited to have you guys here today. It is Tuesday, not yet. Tuesday, December 30th. So tomorrow, last day of the year. I don't know about you guys, but pretty pumped to say adios to 2025. Bring in 2026. And I also want to let you guys know about something that I haven't addressed yet. I really didn't think it was important, but for several reasons, I'm going to let you guys in on something. If you haven't noticed yet, when I say that I've had a stream with like 55,000 views, because that's been happening once, usually twice a week, I am running 2 separate streams at once. Now, these streams, they are totally separate from one another. You have to be on one device. You can't you can switch back and forth, but one of these streams is meant for laptops and televisions and like tablets, while the other is meant for phones. And my phone streams have, in other words, the vertical streams, have been popping off. And it's getting to the point that I'm considering not doing the horizontal streams anymore. So if you are someone who has been watching from a laptop or a computer of any sort, let me know. I'm I'm open to keeping it, but I really don't want it to mess with my algorithm either, because people look at my horizontal stream and they're like, "What is she talking about? She doesn't have 55,000 views. She has like 100." It's it's the phone. And I've looked at other people's phone streams to see like if they are having success with their phone streams. I think that it's something with the algorithm that I'm doing both things at once, that it is helping my channel. So I I'm hesitant to stop doing them, but at the same time, I do need to be mindful of how it helps my analytics. So you're probably wondering why I'm telling you all of this. Just just for my own peace of mind, because I have a lot of people saying like, "You're lying about your views." I'm not. You can go to Social Blade and look and see how many views I bring in from a stream. And which is why I love having you guys here. So thank you. Um all right. So we are trucking through Casey Anthony. Let me tell you where we are with that. Let me move my notes over here. Okay. So I've spent yet another day going through the trial that is Casey Anthony, and trying to figure out which things to show you guys and which things are too boring. because if you were here last week, I made mention of the fact that I think the state lost simply because they put on too many witnesses. They overdid it. You know what I'm saying? And I it has been it's made it very difficult for me to try to figure out what you guys would want to see and what you don't want to see. Uh and for that reason, I am going to jump to day 15, which isn't bad. We were on day 13. It's just yeah, day 15 is kind of where you guys will be able to catch up with the forensic information. And before I forget, if you haven't done so already, if you could please make sure to like the stream and subscribe to my channel, that helps a lot. That helps the algorithm, that helps us get out there. So I would greatly appreciate that. And if you're really enjoying yourself, well, why not share with a friend, right? So please feel free to do that. Also, yeah, subscribe to Lefty as well. Let me get this pulled up here for y'all. I'll probably be going off screen quite often because I have the sniffles. I haven't been feeling well for 24 hours. It's actually been like awful. So we are giving 100% right now. All right, guys, I hope you enjoy. Let's get things started.
VAGLIA.
May I proceed?
You may proceed.
Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
How are you presently employed?
I'm the chief medical examiner for Orange and Osceola counties.
And how long have you held that job?
I've been chief medical examiner since 2004.
Prior to being the chief medical examiner for District 9, where were you employed?
I was a deputy chief for a little less than a year, and then I was employed as a medical examiner in Bexar County, which is San Antonio, Texas, for 10 years. And prior to that, in the metropolitan Atlanta area. And I've been a medical examiner also in Jacksonville, Florida, and I trained as a medical examiner in Miami.
If you could just take us through your educational experience that led you to your work as a medical examiner.
Sure. I'm a MD, medical doctor. That degree was from St. Louis University in St. Louis, Missouri, graduating in 1982. I then did my internship in internal medicine at the University Hospitals in St. Louis. I then specialized in pathology, both anatomic and clinical pathology. Anatomic pathology is basically the doctor at the hospital that looks under the microscope, does hospital autopsies, diagnoses diseases, and I'm board certified in that. That training was at the University Hospitals in St. Louis. I'm also trained in clinical pathology. That is basically the doctor that runs the laboratories. I'm board certified in that. I then subspecialized in forensic pathology. That is the field of pathology that specializes in why people die suddenly and unexpectedly. It deals with ballistics through the body. It deals with injury interpretation. And that training was in Miami, 87 and 88. And I'm board certified in forensic pathology.
And after your educational experience, you became a medical examiner. You've told us where you worked.
Yes, I just.
All right, taking up to today. Now, did you have occasion to become involved in the investigation of the death of Kaylee Marie Anthony?
Yes, that came under under my jurisdiction.
Now, when did you first learn of the possibility that the remains of Kaylee Anthony had been found?
That would have been on the 11th. I don't remember the time. Sometime in the late morning, early afternoon.
Were you alerted by law enforcement?
I was alerted by my chief investigator, Steve Hansen.
Upon learning of that, what did you do?
And I was late for the airport. I'd already left the building. I'd run back in to pick up something that I'd forgotten. As I was walking out, Mr. Hansen told me that they'd found the remains. And we weren't sure who that is for sure at that point. Oftentimes these scene recoveries take a long period of time. I had a engagement that I could not get out of. I was late for the airport, so I immediately contacted Dr. Utz and told him to initially handle it till I got back. I would be back the next day. I told Steve to make sure that Dr. Schultz was called. He's my anthropologist that's our consultant. And I believe I might have even talked to Dr. Schultz myself. I can't remember, but I made sure he was involved and I made sure Dr. Utz was able to handle it. I thought that initially, typically how we handle skeletal cases is that it takes a while for the recovery. They're brought in, they sit, and then we analyze. And it's a long process. I didn't think my absence for the night would matter.
Sure. Now, when you returned the following day?
Yes, that was Thursday. I returned Friday evening.
When you returned the following evening and for the days and weeks after that, did you go back and review the photographs that had been taken both at the scene prior to the skull's removal and those taken at your facility while you were gone? Have you reviewed all those photographs?
Absolutely.
Now, once you arrived back and took the case back from Dr. Utz, did you continue to investigate and photograph additional items that were taken with the body?
Yes, I did. Case was discussed. I went out to the scene. I reviewed all the photographs. I made some suggestions for what else needed to be done, and made sure that we got some other other consultants in also.
Just a moment. If we may start by showing the witness State's Exhibit CX in evidence. CX. I think you might have to. Is one of the things that you examined when you arrived back the hair mat which was surrounding the skull?
Eventually, that hair mat came back to me. It was sent to the FBI, and I asked for that back.
All right.
And that was sent back to me, and I examined it then.
Is this a photograph that was taken before that you reviewed, or is this one that was taken after it came back?
Looks like there's bone. It's oftentimes when you show me one picture and it's not in context,
Sure.
It's difficult to say, but it looks like there's still bone attached. So,
Would this have been one of the photographs you reviewed?
oh, this would have been one that I reviewed, certainly.
All right. Let me go to photograph CY. Again, is this a photograph that you took or reviewed?
Yes.
All right. At this time, I move into evidence State's Exhibit CX and CY.
What says the defense? Be receiving evidence. The state's numbered.
Let's start with formally CX. We publish that to the jury.
Okay, published.
All right. Doctor, can you tell us what we're looking at in this photograph?
We're looking at the hair mat of the decedent of the case 81567.
What else do we see in the photograph other than hair?
We see a lot of the roots that have grown through the hair.
And now if we could see what was CY. And this is in evidence as 251. And again, what are we looking at here, Doctor?
We're also looking at the hair mat. We're also looking at the roots that have grown completely through the hair mat. And we're also looking at some holes, I don't know, holes in the hair mat, probably from insect activity.
Let's unpublish to the jury and move on to DA. You recognize this photograph?
Yes, that's a photograph that we teased out some of the hair to take as a sample. This was teased out from that hair mat to take as a sample for possible toxicologic use.
Right. And does this photograph also show a scale showing the length of the hair?
Yes.
This time, we got to move into evidence State's Exhibit DA.
It will be receiving evidence. State's numbered. You want to publish?
Yes, please. Again, the scale that you have here is to change my glasses, I'm sorry, 6-inch scale?
Yes,
All right, so this would reflect the length of the hair being at least more than 6 inches.
that is correct.
All right, thank you. All right. And we may unpublish, Judge.
Believe it or not, this is not broken hair. The Nutrafol that I've been taking is actually working.
Yes, we're finished. I'm sorry, I said we may unpublish. Thank you. And if we could have DC in evidence. And you recognize this is one of the photographs taken either at your direction or by your office.
Yes, that was actually taken at my direction. Again, the hair, that's the scale next to one of the roots on the hair mat.
This is just, and the purpose of the scale is to allow someone to compare the size of the root with a scale in the same
Correct.
picture. This time, I'll move to evidence State's Exhibit DC.
Be receiving evidence. The state's numbered.
Thanks for subscribing.
Yes, please.
Welcome. If you're a regular to my streams, I'm surprised nobody has
That's fine.
noticed anything different.
Now, some of the items that were found with the remains, did you examine and separately photograph a number of those?
Yes,
I want to specifically ask you about a blanket. You recall there being a baby blanket that was found,
yes,
right? And did you have that photographed?
yes,
This time, could we show the witness DV? Do you recognize this as a photograph of the blanket taken at your direction?
It's a slow stream today.
that was
so
either taken
far.
at my direction or by someone in my staff. It's been photographed. It was photographed several times.
All right. This time, I'm going to move into evidence State's Exhibit DV.
Be receiving evidence. The state's numbered.
Maybe publish. With this particular blanket, this is the condition that it came into your office. Is that correct? Hasn't been cleaned or anything like that.
It was not cleaned or it was just kind of unfolded.
Are there certain portions of this blanket where you can detect some figures?
Yes.
Did
This
you
is it.
ask your staff to did they take a closer photograph to show those figures more clearly?
Here, let me.
I might have even taken that photograph. I remember taking some, yes.
All right. We could unpublish the jury, I've done, and show the witness DW. And you recognize this photograph, DW?
Yes.
And is this the closer photograph trying to show the figures on the blanket?
Yes, it is.
And this time, you got to remove evidence states exhibit DW.
Any objections? Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
May we publish?
Publish.
So
Now,
I
I'm going to ask Mr. Perez to zoom in on this.
like this is an
figure.
important part to mention. Let me make myself a little bit bigger for this. In my honest opinion, I was like, well, that, like, now they can't say, they being the defense, can't say that someone who knew Kaylee or who was not in the household didn't murder her, because how else would they have gotten that blanket, right? So I thought that was really telling for this. And I also felt like the finding of the blanket, not even as awful as this sounds, not even Kaylee, but the blanket and the laundry bag that was from the house of the Anthonys, I feel like that's where the defense began to come up with their theory that they were going to try to sell to the jury, that the grandpa did it, that George Anthony did it. So I don't know about you guys, but that was something that I picked up on when I was watching the case, trying to prepare it for you guys.
When you viewed that figure, did it look familiar to you?
Yes.
Who's that?
Winnie the Pooh with Piglet on its back.
Thank you. We're all done with that photo. If we could show the witness DX. And is this a photograph of the other side of that blanket?
Yes, it is.
This time, you want to move into evidence states exhibit DX.
Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
And then publish.
May.
Did that blanket have some plant material growing in it?
Yes.
And did you have that photographed as well to document the level of plant activity in the blanket?
Yes, I did.
And unpublished to the jury. And finally, have DZ. Is that a photograph representing the amount of plant and root activity actually growing into the blanket?
Yes, it is.
State will move into evidence states exhibit DZ.
What says the defense?
DZ.
Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
I love this
May I
for
publish?
You may
you.
publish.
So just tell us what we're looking at here.
This is a close-up of the edge of the blanket, the one with the Winnie the Pooh with Piglet, and it shows vegetative material, roots growing on top of and through the blanket.
Thank you. We could go to show the witness EB, please. EB. Do you recognize this as an additional photograph of other areas of root growth in the blanket?
Yes.
It's time to move to evidence states exhibit EB.
What says the defense? Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
Look, for the record, that's ED. I apologize. I said EB. I meant ED. Okay. And maybe publish.
You may publish.
Say ED. It's okay.
Now, if we could have EB as in boy. You recognize this as another photograph of the root material.
Yes.
Say, move to evidence states exhibit EB.
What says the defense? Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
And publish, please.
You may.
Hey guys, make sure to hit the like
Again,
button.
we're looking at more root material in that blanket.
That is correct.
It helps with the algorithm.
Unpublished to the jury. Unpublished. Could I have states exhibit EE?
Well, hello. Thank
Do you
you.
recognize EE?
You too.
Yes, I do.
This is a photograph of more root material growing into the blanket?
That's the same blanket with showing root material growing into it.
State will move to evidence, State's Exhibit EE.
Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
May I publish?
You may publish.
Wrong stream.
Was there also root material growing in the bag? That is the black plastic bag that was found with the remains.
There are 2 black plastic bags, and root material was growing through the holes in both those bags.
Let me show you, we can show the witness EI. Does this photograph demonstrate the root material growing actually through the holes in the black plastic bag?
Yes.
This time, State will move to evidence, State's Exhibit EI.
Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
May I publish?
You may publish.
AK Debs.
Was there also a canvas laundry bag that was also found with the remains that you saw?
Yes, there was.
This is it.
And were there roots growing within that item as well?
The canvas laundry bag was canvas on the outside and some type of kind of shiny vinyl type material on the inside, and it appears that the roots were just growing on top of and intricately applied to the canvas part of that bag.
If we may show the witness
Girl
EN.
preach.
And do you recognize that as a representative photograph showing the roots growing into the canvas bag?
Yes.
This time I move into evidence, State's Exhibit EN.
Be received the state's numbered.
May I publish?
You may publish.
Would it be fair to say that roots, plant roots, were growing in and around virtually everything that was retrieved from this scene, that is the immediate area of the skull?
No, I don't think we saw any roots in the shorts.
Okay.
There were certainly roots in bones, but that was further out. Roots through the bag, and then the shirt was completely disintegrated, so it's difficult to say. But certainly the blanket, the 2 plastic bags, and the canvas bag.
And you said the shirt was disintegrated. All that was left was the lettering and a collar?
The lettering and the stitching along the ends and with the tag.
In order to assist, and I'll just unpublish that, in order to assist in identifying
There's
the
a
victim,
receipt.
in this case,
Name
well,
is it, Grace?
at the time that the bones were first found, how did you go about trying to identify who this child was?
Well, we thought the best identification was going to be through DNA. It's difficult to identify a child because oftentimes we use teeth or a dental comparison that was be difficult with this child because she's so young. And so we were hoping that we were going to get nuclear DNA, and then we knew that there would probably be at least mitochondrial DNA. So we thought the best way to go would be with the DNA.
And did your office send a bone off to the FBI laboratory for purposes of DNA identification?
Yes, we did.
Let me show the witness State's Exhibit EO for identification.
If this is what I'm thinking
recognize
about,
this is a photograph
this is
of the
really important.
Bone upon its return from the DNA evaluation.
Yes.
This time, the Honor State will move into evidence, State's Exhibit EO.
What says the defense? Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
Yeah, publish. Doctor, the portion that's missing from this bone, is that a procedure you're familiar with in determining DNA?
All right. I see some talk in the chat about a drop in 20 degrees. We had a 60-degree drop yesterday, y'all. That's why my nose is so crazy. And I posted that short last night. It has been horrible. All of us are miserable here. I just had to point that out because it's I've never seen that before.
Identification from bone.
Yes, you have to remove a piece of the bone to test. So they removed a piece of that right tibia.
Isn't that wild?
Now, did you receive results from the FBI DNA laboratory as to the identification of the remains?
Yes.
And did that laboratory identify the remains as that is Kaylee Marie Anthony?
Yes, they did.
Now, as a medical examiner, is it your job to determine 2 things, one called cause of death and one called manner of death?
Yes, it's the fundamental.
Why is it audio? Why
It's
is
fundamental
audio
to my job, and that's basically why we exist as an office.
Is manner of death determination a purely medical or scientific determination?
Yes, I'm sorry, the cause?
Manner of death.
The manner of death, it's based on scientific principles and ultimately gathering all the information you can about a case, all the circumstances of the case, all the history of the case, any medical history, knowing what the body showed, knowing all your ancillary tests. It's to take all of those things into consideration and any type of scientific information and to come up with an opinion.
Counsel, I don't need to. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to recess now for lunch. I'm going to ask you not to discuss this case among yourselves nor with anyone else. Any additional instructions on behalf of the state or the defense? Okay, we'll be in recess to 1:30. Okay, state recognized presence of jury. Yes, sir. And the defense. Members of the jury, did you heed all of my previous admonitions during the noontime lunch hour? Okay, Mr. Ashton, you may continue.
Good afternoon, Dr. Garibaldi.
Good afternoon.
Let's start off by get to a few housekeeping matters. Let me show you some items that are marked for identification. First is State's Exhibit KL. You recognize that by your office's label as a bag that should contain the laundry bag that was found in evidence in this case.
Yes.
This time you take remove into evidence State's Exhibit KL.
What says the defense?
What says the defense?
It will be received in evidence. The state's numbered.
That's the Kevin from
Let me show you what's been marked in evidence. State's Exhibit for identification KU. I ask you to recognize that by markings as the bag should contain the baby blanket photograph we saw earlier.
Yes.
Your Honor, State remove evidence State's Exhibit KU for identification.
It will be received in evidence. The state's numbered.
Next would be State Exhibit KM. You recognize this as, by the markings of your office, as the container that should contain the body bag with vegetation that was brought with the evidence.
Yes, I do.
This time you want to move evidence State Exhibit KM for identification.
It will be received in evidence. The state's
Home
numbered.
Alone. That's the movie I was thinking of. Kevin.
Show you State Exhibit KK for identification. Do you recognize that by the markings of the bag should contain the tied black plastic bag that was brought into the release?
Yes, I do.
This time you want to move into evidence State's Exhibit KK.
It will be received. The state's numbered.
Muffy, you're speaking to my heart right now.
Show you State's Exhibit KO for identification. You recognize that by the markings of the bag that should contain the untied plastic bag which found in the remains.
Yes.
This time you want to move into evidence State's Exhibit KO.
It will be received in evidence. The state's numbered.
Do you guys remember how I was towards the end of the Jodi Arias trial? Like, I feel like I couldn't wait to finish something so much in my entire life other than high school. Like, I was probably just as excited to be done with high school as I was with that trial. I'm starting to feel that way about Casey. It's like, and maybe and I have talked about it, it's mea culpa, like my fault. My bad for picking such a long trial, but holy smokes. Ooh. We're getting
Let me show
there.
you what's been marked. State's Exhibit identification KR, and ask you by the markings, that's the bag that should contain the shorts that we look at in the photograph.
The shorts.
What do
I
I
didn't
do
see the shorts.
about
I believe, but those are the shorts.
Photographs. Let me stop. Did you review photographs of items that were taken examined by Dr. Cox?
No, I've examined those.
Those, okay, they should be in.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. They will move down to State's Exhibit KR.
Like, I'm
Be received in evidence. The
happy.
state's numbered.
Let me show you State's Exhibit KT and ask you if by the markings, that should be the bag containing the clothing, the letters, and the stitching.
Yes,
And those are things that were brought into the body, is that correct?
that is correct.
They will move in evidence State's Exhibit KT.
What says the defense? It will be received in evidence. The state's numbered.
Now let me show you State's Exhibit KS. If I may approach counsel just a moment.
It is slow, you guys. Make sure to hit that like button, please, and subscribe. I wonder if it's because I did that stream yesterday that I made a members only stream.
I believe by agreement of counsel, rather than have the doctor open this bag to see her markings, that it is agreed that this is the hair knot that was taken down.
Weird.
Okay, it'll be received as states number.
That's all it is.
Are you guys going back to work on Friday?
Dr. Note, we've got housekeeping out of the way. When we broke, we were discussing the concepts of cause and manner of death, and I believe you were explaining to the jury what manner of death means. Could you explain that, please?
The manner of death.
Manner of death.
The manner is the classification of death based on all of the information that is available to us, both scientific information, both scene information, both historic information, anything that will help us classify that death as to accident, natural, homicide, suicide, or undetermined.
And in assessing all that thing, the medical evidence, the scientific evidence, and the scene evidence, do you bring to bear your experience in forensic pathology?
Absolutely.
In this particular case, based upon everything that you have seen, the photographs, the skeleton itself, do you have an opinion as to the manner of death in this case?
Yes.
What is that opinion?
Homicide.
What do you base that on?
It's based on three main items. First, we know from observational studies, from experience, that it is a red flag that when a child is not reported immediately to authorities, either with an injury, that's something we look for foul play. This child, from history, was not reported for a long time. The other thing that makes it a homicide is that the body was hidden. A child's body is thrown out, hidden in a field. We know that is one of the things we look for when we are looking for a homicide. Also, it's often found that these bodies are in, not always, but closed containers, a suitcase or a plastic bag like this child was. That, again, is from our experience from observational systematic studies, a red flag for homicide. And the last, besides the delay, besides the being found in a field decomposed, would be the duct tape somewhere located on the lower half of this face. There is no child that should have duct tape on its face when it dies. There's no reason to put duct tape on the face after they die. Based on our experience, we've seen that in cases of homicide.
Now, how does the concept of cause of death differ from the concept of manner of death?
Well, the cause of death is the injury or the disease that initiates the chain of events that ultimately results in the child dying or the person dying. So the cause is the specific injury or disease that ultimately causes the death.
In this case, based on the skeletal condition of the remains, can you render a medical conclusion on the cause of death?
Have
The
a
cause
great
of death,
day.
what
Thanks
I
for
put was
stopping by.
homicide of undetermined means. I believe we can reliably say it's a homicide, but I don't know the means for which that homicide occurred.
Were there any objects found with the body that would have been capable of causing death?
Well, the only possible objects with the body, although I don't know if they cause death, and I'm not even speculating whether they cause death, would be duct tape. If that duct tape was over the mouth and nose, that's a possibility. Suffocation with a plastic bag would have been the only other thing I would have seen there.
Right. You are aware, are you not, of the evidence of chloroform being found during certain portions of the investigation of this case?
I was made aware of that, yes.
Could a child exposed to a sufficient amount of chloroform die as a result?
Absolutely.
But at this point, based upon the medical evidence, can you tell what caused her death?
No, I believe we have enough evidence, and I believe it's scientifically defensible to say it's a homicide, but I do not believe we have enough scientific information to say the means of how that homicide occurred.
Now, are there certain things that you can exclude? In other words, was there any trauma to the body that would...
Well, the trauma is very, their body is very decomposed. All I have is bone. So unless that trauma hurt the bones, I can't say. There's certainly, I've had other cases where there's been blunt trauma to the abdomen, and I can't say from the skeleton. So I can't rule out really any trauma, because sometimes even a gunshot wound would go through, and not touch the bone. So it's very difficult when the body is that decomposed to say why they died.
Now, in this case, was there any injury to the bones that would indicate trauma involving the bone?
There is no ante-mortem injury to the bones that would indicate the cause.
And were you made aware of any illnesses that the child suffered that could have caused death, anything of that
I
sort?
specifically asked for any history of illness or problems with this child, and I was told there were none.
No further questions. Thank you, Doctor.
Cross-examination.
Okay. Yep, that's what I have down.
How you doing?
Hello.
You okay?
I'm okay.
All right.
He's always so awkward when he walks up to one of the people that he's about to like ask questions, examine. He's just like, "You okay? You need something? You good?" Like, what? Okay, I'm not thrilled to be here if we're gonna be honest with each other, but yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm still alive.
Now, Dr. Garibaldi, you live in Orlando area. Don't tell me where, but in the Orlando area.
Yes, yes, in the area.
Okay. And for the period of time of about 4 months prior to these remains being found, you were aware of all of the media attention surrounding this case, weren't you?
I was aware that this was a big case. I do not watch the news, and I listen to NPR, so I don't think I was as aware as most people.
Certainly, if you were wise enough to not necessarily rely on the news, you were aware that there was, in fact, a circus-like atmosphere around the Anthony home. Yes?
I don't know that.
Oh. Well, you knew it was, a lot of speculation, a lot of news about this case for months. Yes?
I did know that there was a lot of speculation about this case.
And you knew that if, unfortunately, remains were found of this child, that your office would be most likely involved.
No, I was hoping it was Lake County,
You were hoping it was Lake County, push it off to the west. Okay.
different jurisdiction.
Or so anywhere other than the Ninth. Oh.
That's what I would have liked.
But in fact, you were called and you came back from wherever other business you were on to handle this case.
That's true.
And amongst the various things that you had known prior was news or references, as Mr. Ashton just referred to, regarding the potential of chloroform being involved in this case.
I was told that by investigations at the time we got the body.
You weren't told that the chloroform related to decomposition, but just that there was chloroform involved.
That there was a question of chloroform.
So you then reasoned that perhaps chloroform may have been used, in fact, to contribute to the cause of death of this child.
I think that would be one of the possibilities that we would have to examine.
So one of the things that you did in order to examine that possibility was to bring in an expert. Yes?
I brought in a toxicologist that I knew had dealt with toxicology of bones, which is not a common thing.
And that toxicologist was a PhD, Dr. Bruce Goldberger from the University of Florida.
It was.
And you sent to him a piece of bone that had been resected from the humerus, was it?
The femur.
Pardon?
The left femur.
Left femur. We had a picture of it a while ago.
No, that was the tibia taken for the DNA. The
Well,
picture I saw.
Which part was sent to Dr. Goldberger so he could test for the presence of chloroform?
The piece of the left femur.
And as a toxicologist, the specific request was to look for chloroform and other what you call volatile chemicals. Is that right?
That is correct.
Meaning you were looking for chloroform and some form of poison.
Volatile would have been alcohol, isopropanol.
Any kind of chemical that might have contributed to the cause of this child's death.
Yes.
And Dr. Goldberger, pursuant to your directions, submitted these samples to the myriad of toxicological examination tests, didn't he?
Not really a myriad. He only did check for volatiles and several other tests. It was very limited what he can do with bone. But
Whatever tests were available that could be done, were done.
he tried.
And when they were done, the results were negative as to each and every one.
That is correct.
Now, in connection with this whole process, were you present when Dr. Werner Spitz came as a defense expert to want to observe the process?
Oh, Dr. Spitz.
You may continue.
I may not be exactly verbatim, but I asked you if Dr. Werner Spitz came down to observe, participate in the autopsy.
Did he? No.
No? Were you aware of him coming down to want to watch your work?
Hearsay. Question.
Overruled.
I was informed by my office manager that Mr. Jose Baez had requested.
Objection. I don't believe that's the voting case counsel would ask.
He's already allowed me to ask the question.
Well,
Well, just answering it.
Overruled. Go ahead and finish asking the question, Doctor.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Go ahead.
I was informed by my office manager there was a request by Jose Baez to bring an outside person in to watch the autopsy, and our policy in the autopsy is that we have a statutory duty to come up with the cause and manner of death. We would preserve everything possible then and make that available to him when we are finished.
Okay. And you told Mr. Ashton that in your determination of the manner of death, you consider all kinds of circumstances.
Yes, I do.
And in doing that in this case, are you aware of whether or not Dr. Spitz, in fact, did a second autopsy?
Objection. Hearsay.
Sustained.
Okay. Now, I want to go back just briefly to Dr. Goldberger. I've been reminded that he's a medical doctor, isn't he?
No, he's not.
He's not?
Dr. Goldberger? He's a PhD.
Is he also a medical doctor?
Not to my knowledge.
All right. Well, what things do you know that he tested besides that piece of bone?
Let's see, for volatiles, he tested bone, the scrapings I took from the inside of the bone, the hair and soil that kind of fell out of the
This
hair.
is important.
And that was for volatiles. And then he detected, and then he tested the bone, and then the scrapings from the bone marrow, and washings we did from the cranial cavity, and he tested that for by gas chromatograph for prescription drugs, illicit drugs, and then he tested specifically for alprazolam in the bone, the scrapings of the bone cavity, the washings of the cranial cavity were all then specifically tested for alprazolam.
And alprazolam, what's a more common name?
It's a benzodiazepam, also known as Xanax.
Xanax.
Yes,
Mascara.
So he tested for all those things, and all the results were negative.
that is correct.
And speaking of the cranial wash you did not cut open the cranium, did you?
No, absolutely not.
Now, you told
Why
Mr. Ashton also
absolutely
that there was no trauma found in your examination, correct?
No antemortem trauma, meaning prior to death. We found some postmortem trauma from animals chewing on bones, and
You found the postmortem trauma. The anthropologist confirmed to you that there was indication of animal activity, right?
oh, you could see that.
Okay.
That was part of my examination.
But anything that happened before, there's no evidence of any form of trauma before when this child was alive.
On the bones, there was no evidence of trauma.
And in your exploring all the world of circumstances about this, you didn't find about any trauma either, did you?
No, I did not.
So if I understand your testimony, you, the long and short of it is, are confirming that despite the investigations, the toxicology, the anthropologists, all of these things, there is no scientific or medical evidence to establish the cause of this child's death. Is that correct?
The means of the homicide could not be determined.
And you determined to call it a homicide as opposed to an accident or indeterminate.
The circumstances of death and did not fit anything but a homicide.
The circumstances.
That's the way the body was found.
Okay,
and not
I know
reporting
that.
the body.
And also what Detective Mellich told you.
Sir.
I'm not. What part did Dr. Melich tell me? The part
Dude,
that the body
play
wasn't
it.
reported for 31 days. Was what
You learned these things from Yuri Mellich, an investigator.
that's our standard
some of the
course
things-
of business.
Some of the things you learned from the media.
From you?
Media
Oh, no, nothing from media would have been entered into my decision.
didn't enter your mind.
Well, I can't take anything that the media would say into a decision as grave as this.
So the bottom line is when you say, and you place the label homicide, the indeterminate means, you're saying that circumstantial evidence to you says that it probably was a homicide.
Not probably. I think that is the only logical conclusion based scientifically on some of the scientific information we have, based on observational information we have about homicides and children dying.
What is the scientific information, the
Oh.
circumstance?
Well, we know, and of course, systematic observational studies are part of science. That's a big part of forensic. It's a big part of how we know our world. We look at all the accidental drownings, for instance, in my jurisdiction. We systematically went through those. 100% EMS is called immediately when the child is found.
Well, that has nothing to do with
Oh,
this case, does it?
Oh, no,
Argumentative.
Sustain.
Okay.
Go ahead, Doctor.
it absolutely has something to do with this case. Every death I investigate has to put into the circumstances of death. You can never, ever determine a manner of death, except in very rare instances, just on examining the body. And so it always has to. So we need to know how usually deaths occur. So we have to know, and there's scientific studies in peer-reviewed literature
And
about
I'm
some of
gonna
the
object to
red
the bolstering
flags
she's trying to
for
do.
homicide.
Objection to the bolstering. She's also about studies. We don't have them.
Overruled.
So by my experience and by what is known about the way homicides occur, I felt that the preponderance of evidence and that there was no other logical conclusion could be found by not reporting a child for 30, who has a legal, moral, and ethical obligation to care for a child, not reporting that child missing. The fact that it's tossed in a field to rot in bags is a clear indication that the body was trying to be hidden. Those are, even it being put in a bag is a very big red flag for homicide and never seen in an accidental death of a child. And the fact that there's duct tape anywhere attached to that child.
I'm sorry, ma'am. When did you become a police officer? This is wild. I'm just looking at it from the legal perspective. I know that we're all like saying, yeah, let her cook, let her cook. I am surprised they didn't shut this shit down. This was not her job. That's wild.
Child's face is, to me, indication of a homicide.
Okay, now let's back up. What about your circumstantial observations and deductions are scientific, ma'am?
The fact that we know 100% of the time that accidental deaths are reported unless there is a good reason not to be. We know that there is no reason not to report. In fact, if you do not report an injury to authorities, you are risking that child's life. Because, so we know that's partly behavioral science. And we know in all of the cases that come through our morgue that accidents are 100%, particularly on children, are reported unless there is a good reason not to.
So you're trying to tell this jury 100% that there's no way that this death could have been accidental?
No, I said 100% of the time, let's say on a systematic review of drownings, this is one of the more common accidents, 100% of the time when the person finds the child, they call 911 because there is a chance that that child might live. They need to report that and give them a chance.
And what if a person finds an obviously drowned body? They're so obviously deceased.
Sorry,
What
guys.
then? Is there some scientific thing to your conclusion about their morality?
No, but I'm looking at the behavior as a systematic observational information that shows that no matter how stiff that body is, they always call 911 in the hopes that that child could be saved. I'm looking at observational data on that kind of death. That's what we use.
So you're saying then, by your determination, the circumstantial evidence is that's what causes you to conclude it must have been a homicide because you can't explain it any other way.
I explained to you the red flags that we know in
First of all,
forensics
Doctor, you
based
need
on
to answer-
behavioral science.
You need to answer my question.
I don't understand.
Your Honor,
Just a second, folks. Mr. Ashton, objection?
Objection to counsel instructing the witness.
I'd ask the court instructor to answer my question. The question I asked her called for a yes or no answer.
Please repeat the question.
Objection. Sustained, Mr. Basin. The question did not call for a yes or no answer.
Objection, what the fuck is
You
happening?
want a yes or no answer?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
All right. Doctor, did you finish answering the question?
I don't even know what the question was.
Okay, then let's have a new question.
I don't even remember. The bottom line is, let's just take it to make it simple. Cause of death, you don't know. Manner of death, you say based on the circumstantial evidence, you conclude that it was a homicide for the reasons you told us.
I felt that the manner of death, although the cause of death is homicide by undetermined means, I felt the
Oh, okay.
means were unable to be substantiated scientifically. I felt the manner of death was defensible scientifically based on systematic observational studies
Okay. Of observational studies of other things, other cases,
of homicide, how homicides occur, how accidents occur, how natural deaths occur. Yes,
other cases.
other cases.
Okay.
Okay, I take back some of what I said. As a coroner, she has to take some of those things into effect, into consideration, in order to make a cause of death. So, humble pie.
Now, by the way, if these remains had been found 4 or 5 months before, would you have had better chance at scientific evidence?
Absolutely.
I always admit when I'm wrong.
And incidentally, you said something about duct tape.
Sweet
Isn't it true from what you observed and saw, if there was any duct tape, it was only in the vicinity of the lower mandible?
That's correct.
I have just a minute, Your Honor.
You may.
Thank you very much.
Any redirect? You may proceed.
Doctor, Mr. Mason asked you about your knowledge of the defense's desire to do a second autopsy of the body.
Yes.
Did you attempt to keep the body in exactly the same condition it was when you received it?
Yes, we did, except for what we had to take for a DNA and for the possible toxicologic testing.
You left the roots in the bones just as you found them,
Yes.
And
In
let
fact,
the-
we packaged it nicely so they could keep the anatomic groups together.
and you left the skull intact just as you had found it.
Yes, that's normal procedure for an anthropologic exam is to keep that intact.
Now, the absence of positive results for chloroform or other substances, does that, as a matter medically, exclude the acute use of those substances at or near the time of death?
Right. We would not expect to find any of those things positive in a bones. That was a long shot trying to check for those, but I thought we would be amiss not to at least try. We would not expect any of those to be positive in a set of bones, even if they were positive at the time of death, even if it was present.
Taking, for the purposes of my question, for the following hypothetical, the following facts. Assume that Kaylee Anthony died and was discarded on or about June 16th of 2008, approximately 6 months before the body was found.
Yes.
At the stage that Mr. Mason was asking you about, 4 months earlier, which would have been August. So the body's been out for 2 months. what would be the body's condition after 2 months?
Oh, well, it'd probably be skeletonized. Certainly would be skeletonized by then.
So if the body had been found in, let's see, August, would you expect that it would have been skeletonized with very little soft tissue?
Yes, I would expect it to be skeletonized.
Would you expect internal organs to be completely
Gone.
Thank you. No further questions.
Hairspray your
We
hair
process
brush.
those issues.
It's not a bad
Doctor, you may be
idea.
excused.
I'm giving up. Shout out to Wilhelma Media.
Okay, you may
We have
proceed.
no choice but to say it
Contains pictures of
like Germany in World War II. Wilhelma. If we don't laugh, we cry. So we must laugh, right? If you missed it, we are addressing the elephant in the room, which is my new hair growth from taking Nutrafol, who is not a sponsor of this channel, but they should be. And they should also let me know what I should be doing with my new hair because it is not cooperating. It's just really awkward. So we're just we're gonna let it go. Okay, let's get back to this.
the skull. I would ask that the court re-instruct the media and everyone present about the restrictions on photographing or recording this in any way.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're quite
I'm
well aware of the two pool folks, one from in session and
Oh,
the Orlando Center understands that they're
I'm sorry. I forgot to mention this. Well, I didn't forget. You guys forgot. What you guys forgot was what Santa brought me for Christmas. So I'm going to show you. Maybe this will remind you. No more complaining about the headphones hurting. That's all. Yes, I got a new headphone thing that goes in flush with my ears. So that was what Santa brought me. So I'm very, very thrilled. And now I will get back to what we were actually doing.
to fixate and blur. So they're quite well aware. Also, there should be no taking of cell phone photographs by the media of any of these things. And there's an absolute prohibition on the public for taking out cell phones, period.
Prohibition.
If you take them out, they will be seized and confiscated. Okay, let's proceed, Mr. Ashton.
Make sure this is
Ooh.
published for the court.
Wow. Really? I love that for you.
Testifies how he plans on. Shouldn't the witness proffer what his testimony is going to be in relation to this as well?
I'd be happy to do whatever the court wants, other than how it was made. I didn't think that went to the 403 analysis, but
Well, I thought you wanted me to look at the tape. What is it you want me to do?
That's fine. We can start
So
with
I
this.
asked for the clear ones.
We can look at the tape and then we can
Santa
have them
only
testify as to how you
had
made it.
ones, I guess.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right, let's proceed.
that completes the video, Judge.
Okay, a couple of questions.
Sir.
What is the relevancy of this?
The issue in this case, as phrased by
I
the
got
defense in
my
that
mom's
case,
socks.
is whether the duct tape in this case was in fact the cause of death. This demonstrates that a single piece of duct tape, and the testimony will show there was 3, was sufficient to be placed over the nose and mouth of Kaylee Marie Anthony, thus ending her life. This is a graphic, an unfortunately graphic representation, but it's the only method of establishing that. Just so the court knows, the reason the skull is in the picture is because the skull has a scale, the tape has a scale, and in order to make the skull match the photograph, it was necessary to have the skull so that we know that the photograph is in 1-to-1 ratio with the tape. That's the reason that the skull has to be there. And that is the relevance of it. And I do believe that the defense is contesting whether the tape is the murder weapon. And I would submit that this is evidence that it is.
Mr. Baez?
SHURE.
I don't know where we're at, but I've been hearing a lot of testimony about chloroform being the cause of death, or the state's theory of what causes John's death.
Oh,
And then today it's duct tape.
guys, one of the things that she covered, and I didn't stop the stream, she covered that they tested the bone for drugs because a lot of people were like, I think that the Zanny thing comes from using Xanax on Kaylee. They specifically looked for Xanax, and they found none, and it would have been in her bone. Like urine and those toxicology reports, they can be hit or miss, but bone and hair, that's where it's at. So I did think that was important. Sorry.
We seem to find ourselves in a position of, let's throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. This disgusting superimposition is nothing but a fantasy that is not supported. Number one, it's not supported by anything that can't be testified to. It goes to the very root of 403, that is substantially any probative value of this video as to the measurements of what Mr. Ashton just finished arguing, that it's sufficient, the measurements are sufficient to cause this death. If that's what they want to argue, I understand that. However, the proper way of doing that would be, of course, someone testifying as to the measurements, someone testifying as to the anatomy of this child due to her age, and that would be, in my estimation, through a medical examiner or an anthropologist. Yes, sir.
You might want to reference McDuffie versus State, 977 second, 312, 2007 decision of the Florida Supreme Court that may have a similar application here, but I need to reread it. It's been a while since I've read it.
I seriously can't open these.
In addition, I think
Just a second, let me finish. I want to be able to hear you, and I want to be able to get this printer still printed. Case is 26 pages long.
So this is the carrying case for them?
All right, you may proceed.
yes, if 403 was ever created for a scenario, it would be this scenario. The probative value is certainly outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice, confusion of the issues, misleading the jury, and keyly, needless presentation of cumulative evidence. This, there has been no testimony, or can there be any testimony, that this duct tape was in fact in this position as described and reflected in this video. In addition, I would also cite Pierce versus State, and that is a fourth BCA case, 97. It's a 97 case at 718 Southern 2nd 806, where it clearly shows that the presentation must be relevant and it must fairly and accurately reflect the oral testimony offered, and that it is an aid to the jury's understanding of the issue. Well, there's not going to be any oral testimony that this duct tape was in this position on this child's face. It can't be in. And there isn't any. And certainly Dr. Warren could never testify to that. There were 3 pieces. One was found 9 feet away.
Okay, let's do this. Let me hear Dr. Warren's testimony. So let's put him on the stand and let's hear it. And then I can better make
Peggy always
an
coming
informed
through.
decision.
I agree with you, Peggy.
This will be a proffer, so there's really no need for you to make any objections at this point, Mr. Baez. It would help it go quicker so I can hear what the man has to say.
Okay, Sweet Rage.
My name is Michael Warren, Warren.
And you're a forensic pathologist, a forensic anthropologist, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Where do you work?
I'm an associate professor at the University of Florida and director of the CA Pound Human Identification Laboratory.
Kind of slow it down, doctor, so with this technical stuff, it makes it difficult for court reporters.
Yes, sir. I am associate professor of anthropology at the University of Florida and director of the CA Pound, which is a man's name, C. Addison Pound Human Identification Laboratory.
All right. We'll skip your qualifications and jump right into the issue.
Thank God.
Were you involved in the original investigation of this case, and did you work with Dr. Schultz in preparing his report and analysis in this case?
Yes, sir.
And did you actually participate in examining the skull and other bones involved in this case?
I did.
Now, getting directly to the point, at some point, discussions began about the issue of the duct tape and establishing whether it could be the weapon that caused death. Correct?
That's correct.
Now, how was this video superposition created?
It was created by taking photographs that we had taken during our examination of the decedent's skull, and also photographs taken of the tape by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and a photograph that was found on the internet that was appropriate in terms of the orientation of the child's face to the photograph that we had of the skull.
Right. Now, why is it necessary to use a picture of the skull and
There it
face in order to do this?
Both the photographs of the skull and the photograph of the tape have photographic scales in there,
Oh.
and those scales are used then to.
This is the witness who's going to talk about the duct tape being on the skull. So this is why I decided to show him.
make sure that the size of each of those images are exactly comparable. The face has no scale in it. So if we're going to superimpose the tape onto the soft tissue of the face, there's no way to do that unless we first match the face to the skull in terms of sizing and aligning that, and then by using the scale in the tape, we're able then to superimpose that onto the soft tissue.
So would it be fair to say that by using the skull, you're able to make sure that the face is in one-to-one with the tape?
I had to use the skull, yes.
I had to use the skull. Now, while you can give estimates, let me rephrase that. Is it possible without this superimposition for you to precisely determine the distance between the end of Kaylee's nose and the bottom of her chin?
It is using the scale in the photograph. We can do that.
Without that, though, would you be able to?
No.
Are there certain rough estimates that you can make based upon research about the average distances in a child of that size, and et cetera, of that area?
There are data out there, previous studies called anthropometry, which is the measurement of living people for children. And one particular study in 1977 done by the University of Michigan and the Highway Safety Division has some measurements, but not the measurements that we needed from the landmarks that are in question.
So to your knowledge, would there be any other way to demonstrate that the duct tape could cover both her nose and mouth other than this process?
There's not, other than using, again, anthropometric measurements. Those are populational data. Those populational data take into account the variation that we see in humans. When you are applying populational data to a single individual, you're basically using populational means and applying them to a single person. If you can do your measurements and do your work on the individual in question, then it's a more elegant approach to that, and really the only way in this case to do it.
Mr. Counsel, that's all the question I have for the proffer.
Mr. Bias?
Sir.
Mr. Bias.
Sir, Mr. Ashton talked about discussions about the duct tape being the murder weapon, correct? You recall that?
I don't recall direct questions from Mr. Ashton about the duct tape being a murder weapon.
The very first question just now that he brought up were these discussions.
Discussions between me and Dr. Garavaglia and Dr. Schultz, yes, because the tape was seen.
And Mr. Ashton also had these discussions with you, did he not?
I don't remember him talking about that being the murder question or the murder weapon. I remember him asking, and the question being whether or not it's possible that tape could cover both the nasal and oral airway.
Okay. And when did that discussion take place?
Early on, during probably the first day that I was there, we started talking about the possibility of whether that tape could have covered both airways.
And this is the first day you were there, you were having these discussions with Mr. Ashton?
No, I had not met Mr. Ashton at that point. No, that was just with Dr. Garavaglia and Dr. Schultz.
And later on this happened?
Later on, yeah, I think it was I that suggested that we do the superimposition to demonstrate the possibility of that tape covering both airways.
And who made the suggestion to you?
I made the suggestion, I think.
Okay, to who?
To Mr. Ashton.
Okay, so you suggested it to Mr. Ashton while considering the prosecution of this case?
Excuse me?
While considering the prosecution of this case?
Yes.
Okay, and you weren't present when the duct tape was removed from the skull, were you, sir?
No.
Okay, so you never saw where this duct tape was positioned near the hair or anything like that other than a photograph?
That's true.
Okay, and of course, the photograph that you saw are the ones that are admitted in evidence, correct?
Yes, sir.
And they're the ones that are attached to her skull. I mean, her hair mat, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, not to her skull.
Not to her skull.
Right. Now, the hair mat is underneath her skull, is it not?
Object to the relevance of this to the proper
It go. I thought we were not going to have objections.
Well, let's get to the point. I don't want you to do your entire cross-examination. I just want, we're here to determine the 403 issue.
Yes, sir. I'm tying it all together here.
Okay,
If I
let's
can have
get
just a
there.
moment. The hair mat was underneath Kaylee's skull, correct?
It was nestled at the base of the skull, correct?
Okay. And normally hair is not on the bottom of a skull. It's usually on top.
Decomposed skulls, yes, the hair can slump.
But I'm talking about when a person's alive.
Yes.
Right. Just like in the photograph, she's alive, her hair's on top.
Correct.
Okay. And there's no scale
Coco,
on
no.
her face in that photograph, is there?
No.
Okay. And you don't even know how old Kaylee was when that photograph was taken.
That's true.
And this is just some photograph you took off the internet.
Correct.
Okay. So to fairly and accurately have this depiction, you would of course need to know how large the child is, correct?
No, I would have to have knowledge of the landmarks of the face and how they fit and the relationship of the soft tissue to the skull to adequately scale that.
The children grow fairly rapidly, don't they?
They do.
Okay. And she could have been much older or much larger in that photo at the time of her death than was in that photograph, correct?
The photograph to me looked like it had been taken fairly recently prior to her disappearance.
It just looked that way to you because you don't know for sure.
It's not an infant's photograph, in other words. Yeah.
Doctor,
She's the Siamese.
what is the purpose of this demonstration?
The purpose of the demonstration is to illustrate that it is possible that the width of the tape would cover both the child's nose and the oral, the mouth.
A skull was utilized. Explain to me the necessity for the skull, doctor.
Okay. We took the photograph of the skull and a frontal view of the skull with a scale, a photographic scale. We also have a photograph of the skull, or the tape taken by the FBI, that also has a scale in that. By using both the skull and the tape and overlaying those images with 50% opacity and the software program, you basically can take those two and you can make those scales the same size so that you know that the size of the skull relative to the size of the tape is real, that those match. There's no scale in the photograph, but I can scale the face to the skull by using anatomical landmarks. So once we have the orientation of the photograph and we have that photograph scaled to the skull, now we have, we're able to move from the scale in the skull to the scale in the tape. And if we're going to...
Probably.
Yes, ma'am. We're able to, once we have the skull scaled
like this. She's
to
mad.
the photograph, then we're able then to superimpose the tape, which has also been scaled to the skull over the image with the soft tissue.
Now, Doctor, the skull that was used was the actual photograph of the skull that you received from the medical examiner's office?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Will this animation aid you in explaining your testimony to the jury?
It will, in terms of whether or not it's possible, that single question, is it possible that tape covered both the nose and the mouth? I think it illustrates that it is in fact possible that it did.
Without that animation, would you be able to do that, sir?
I would be able to testify based on my knowledge of anthropometry and the literature that it is in fact possible that it did without using the animation, yes.
What are the advantages of, or disadvantages, sir, of not utilizing the animation?
The disadvantage is it takes that illustration of the science out of an explanation to the jury. In other words, they'd have to trust that I am familiar with the data. And when I tell them that the tape, in fact, the width of the tape, which is 1.75 centimeters, and the anthropometric measurements between those landmarks, that in fact that would cover both of those.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Hi.
Anything else?
Just one small thing. Based upon looking at the skull and looking at the photograph, is it your opinion as forensic anthropologist that they are close in time? In other words, there hasn't been significant growth in between the photograph and the skull picture?
Yes.
All right. I have no further questions. Shall I can step down or just?
Witness can stand up.
Coco. Don't bite me. Don't.
I'm just gonna see one there.
And Mr. Baez, the case that you want the court to take notice of is Pierce versus State.
Yes, sir.
718, 7 803, a 1997 decision by the 4th District Court of Appeals.
Yes, as well as, I'm sorry, I was just handed another one that appears to be on point, and that is Camporamore versus Brandon Pest Control at 721 Southern 2nd, 333.
Okay. We will be in recess till about 3:15. I need to digest these cases. Okay, false imprisonment over in Volusia County. The court said the following in its opinion. Relevant evidence is defined as evidence tended to prove or disprove a material fact. But the relevant evidence is inadmissible if the probative value is substantially outweighed by dangers of unfair prejudice, confusion of issues, misleading the jury, a needless presentation of cumulative evidence. The proper application of Section 9403 requires a balancing test by the trial judge. Only when the unfair prejudice substantially outweighs the probative value of the evidence.
Oh my God,
And
Coco.
can you
I'll
ask
rephrase
that again,
the
please?
question.
Oh no,
Sure.
I'm
You
sorry,
don't know
guys.
if that
In guilt. The evidence which is being sought to be introduced is basically a superimposed photograph of the victim, the skull dealing with the placement of duct tape. The defense cites for the proposition that this evidence should be excluded 2 cases. Pierce versus State, found at 718, 7 2nd, 806, a 1997 decision of the 4th District Court of Appeals. The Pierce case basically dealt with a computer-generated animation illustrating the lead.
I know that you assholes saw that too. People saying that she's perfect and she does no wrong. That bitch just bit me. I'ma sue her. I'ma sue her in kitty cat court. Kitty cat court. All right. Now we can continue. Now that you all know the types of environment I have to work in. I work in fear. I work in fear. I'm all sorts of worked up right now. I'm all sorts of worked up. She is a naughty kitty. But you can, if you send Jules, I'll buy her kitty treats. Ugh. Okay.
traffic homicide
Hey, I'm gonna take a poll in the chat, unofficial poll. Type yes or no, depending on which one you want to do. Do we want to listen to the judge's ruling on this? Yes or no? I'm gonna go
investigators'
get
reconstruction of an accident was published to the jury as demonstrative evidence. The court in that case found that this was a case of first impression dealing with computer-generated animations, did its 403 analysis, and concluded that the videotape demonstration demonstrated no blood, replicated no sounds, and found that through its 403 analysis that they found no error in admitting, no error by the trial court admitting the use of the computer-rated generated animation to the jury. This case here mainly dealt with the first-time utilization of computer animated generation and was not helpful to the court in its analysis of the 403. The next case cited by the defense is found at 721 7-2, 333. The Brandon Pest Control case, a 1998 decision of the Second District Court of Appeals. This case involved a videotape that was of approximately 15 minutes duration that was taken at the residence in question. This particular tape demonstrated extermination equipment and pointed out its utilization, the drilling of holes and injecting various chemicals throughout the house. It also had some computer-produced animations throughout, and the court, along with some narrations. The court concluded that the narrations contained throughout and that this tape was basically a self-serving promotional tape. Thus, the court concluded that it should not have been introduced in evidence.
Okay, so that was interesting. The one before that, he said this would be the very first time that they used a computer-generated image as like fact, as evidence.
In this particular case, although this opinion is not very long, it does not go through a 403 analysis. In looking at the factors talked about in McDuffie, the court will make the following observation.
Okay, I think he's done.
One, the court needs to consider the need for the evidence. In this particular case, there has been made an issue by cross-examination and direct examination dealing with the placement of duct tape upon the victim, Kelly Marie Anthony, and the location of this duct tape. The court will also note that there is a nondescript picture of Kelly Marie Anthony, and there's also the utilization of the skull of Kelly Marie Anthony, which the jury over the last 2 days has seen several pictures of that particular skull. The skull does not expose any blood, gore, or anything of that particular nature. The doctor has indicated that this will illustrate his particular testimony and that it would aid and assist him in his testimony, even though he said he could do without it, but he said it would be helpful. Does the evidence suggest an emotional basis for a verdict? Unfortunately, in homicide cases, evidence tends to be not so nice. But this particular piece of evidence, a live photograph of the victim superimposed with the skull, does not have a tendency to suggest an emotional basis for a verdict.
Okay.
Is the evidence necessary to establish?
Well,
Mr. Myers?
Well, in his deposition, clearly states that he deferred to Dr. Schultz on these matters. Why not bring in a third forensic anthropologist to say the same thing? And that's the problem here. If he's going to testify to something different, certainly we do not have any objections to that. But to improperly bolster Dr. Schultz's testimony by putting on more of the same thing, I think that is cumulative. It goes to the very definition.
Can you cite one case that says having two experts testifying on the same topic is cumulative?
I think that falls under the court's discretion.
Okay.
Usually what I do, Mr.
This
Byers,
is actually a good opportunity. So if you are not seeing certain people's questions, it's because you are either watching me on a laptop and we are talking on the phone stream, or you are watching on your phone stream and that person is on a laptop. So I just want to make that abundantly clear that we have 2 streams going. I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream today because someone accused me of not having 50,000 views on one of my streams last week. And I was like, yes, I did. And it was because I've been getting my views on the phone recordings. So like people watching from their phones and not their laptops. So there are 2 different streams going on right now, one to fit each ratio perspective. Okay, I hope that's good.
More than 2, then you're going to have to justify to me why you need a 3rd one.
Why is my
Because
phone?
After 2,
So
it gets to be cumulative, in my opinion.
I'll be right back.
Being our last forensic anthropologist,
Anything else, folks?
not from the state.
From the defense? Okay, let's return to jury.
Could you please tell us your name?
Michael Warren, Warren.
And how are you presently employed?
I am Associate Professor at the University of Florida and Director of the C.A. Pound Human Identification Laboratory.
Can you explain to the jury what the C.A. Pound Human Identification Laboratory is?
The Pound Lab is named after the gentleman who endowed the laboratory. It is a working forensic anthropology laboratory. We're responsible for consulting with medical examiners in cases in which the decedent has become skeletonized, burned, fragmented, or otherwise unrecognizable.
And how long have you been the director of that laboratory?
About 2.5 years.
Kind of give us, if you would, your educational and work history leading up to your becoming the director of the Pound Human Identification Laboratory.
Okay, I had a prior career as a paramedic for 15 years. I returned back to graduate school in 1991, received my master's and PhDs at the University of Florida, training under William Ross Maples, forensic anthropologist. I did a 1-year postdoc after I received my doctorate in the Pound Lab. I was a visiting professor until I was hired onto the faculty in August of 2000 as an assistant professor.
And did you work as an assistant professor at the University of Florida until you became an associate professor and then took over as the head of the laboratory?
That's correct. Since the year 2000 up until I became director, which would have been in January 1st, 2009. I was working in and out of the laboratory, consulting on cases, but also doing teaching and research in the Department of Anthropology.
Have you ever been qualified as an expert to give opinions in the area of forensic anthropology?
I have.
And on how many occasions, if you can approximate?
Probably 16 or 18 times.
And in what type of jurisdictions? Just in the state of Florida, other states, federal?
There's been 2 other states, Alabama and New York, but mostly Florida.
This time, Your Honor, I would submit Dr. Warren as an expert in the area of forensic anthropology.
No objections.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Dr. Warren will be accepted as an expert witness in the area.
Now, do you have I don't know if you call it a specialization or a special interest in forensic anthropology involving children?
My doctoral research was in fetal growth and development, the effect of pathology on linear bones of children, but that was during the fetal period. Any other interest I've had that's been involved in determination of age at the time of death, both in juveniles and adults.
Now, did you become involved in the investigation of the death of Kaylee Marie Anthony?
I did.
How did you first become involved in this investigation?
This is
I was
important.
contacted by Dr.
Babies.
Galavia and Dr. John Schultz
Comment.
on December the 15th in 2008 to come down and assist in the analysis of the remains.
And did you travel to the District 9 Medical Examiner's office for that purpose?
Yes, sir.
Now, in addition to examining the remains, did you also examine photographs taken of the remains as they appeared when they were found?
Yes.
I want to direct your attention to one specific area of that. Do you recall, either from the photographs or what you were told, that what the position of the mandible was in reference to the skull when it was first found?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
All right. What was that position?
Have you guys liked the stream? Have you subbed to my channel yet? This is like super important. Please do that. Thank you very much.
The mandible was still articulated at the glenoid fossa or mandibular fossa of the cranium. The mandibular fossa at the TMJ, the jaw joint.
So you say articulated. What does that mean?
It means it was still in place. It was in situ.
So much.
You could slow it down just a little
I'll do
bit.
that.
Be of great assistance to us.
Yes. Thank you. Why is that noteworthy?
Well, that particular joint is a regular type of synovial joint with an articular disc. It's a very lax joint, and that joint allows movement of the jaw in 2 different directions, both as a hinge and also to move anteriorly. There's nothing to hold that jaw in place once the soft tissues decompose. So on surface depositions, on cases in which remains are found on the surface of the ground, it would be very rare to find the jaw still articulated with the rest of the skull.
And in your experience, in cases that you have worked over the length of your career, have you ever had a case in which the jaw, in an above ground deposition, was still in that position in the skull?
Yes.
And what were the circumstances of that case?
These are cases that I worked when I was doing some human rights work in the Balkans, in Bosnia, and I think also probably in Kosovo, in which the decedents had tape over their face.
Other than that circumstance, do you consistently find that the mandible has disarticulated from the skull?
Yes.
And is that your experience, or is that experience? Withdraw the question. Now, you're familiar with the photographs of the position of the tape in reference to the mandible and the opening for the nose, the nasal aperture. Is that correct?
The photographs, yes, sir.
All right. Now, can you tell from the photographs whether the tape in life would have been over the nose and the mouth?
No.
Why is that?
The tape had moved.
Now, did you attempt to determine whether it was possible that a single piece of duct tape of the type on the body would have been sufficient to cover both the nose and the mouth, even just one piece?
I did.
Overruled.
What efforts did you make to determine whether a single piece would have been sufficient to cover both the nose and the mouth?
Two methods. I consulted the literature, the scientific studies that have been done on growing children to try to figure out the distances, the normal distances between various landmarks on a child's face. The best piece of literature I was able to find involved
Proper bolstering.
Ooh.
I believe he's referencing the research he used in order to render his conclusion, not the conclusions of other.
Well, Sustain, just tell us what you did, doctor,
Right.
without telling us what.
Yeah, I've been getting like at least 2 streams a week with over 50,000 viewers at one time. And today has just been remarkably slow. I don't know. I'm kind of baffled as to why that would have happened. So I don't know.
I'll rephrase.
Okay.
Did you
Share,
research the literature
please?
to determine
Like-
estimate ranges of the distance between the tip of the nose and let me rephrase. Which anatomical features were you interested in for this purpose?
I was interested in the nasal aperture, the very bottom of the nose, and on the skull that's called the nasospinale. So it's a point that we use when we do measurements. So it's basically the very root of the nasal aperture. And I'm also interested in the bottom of the teeth and oral airway.
Right. And were you able to get estimates based upon Kaylee's age of what that might have been?
This is important.
Estimates, not using those exact landmarks, but in particular one landmark that is from the middle of the eye down to the bottom of the chin.
All right. Now, what was the other method that you used?
I used a method called video superimposition.
And explain to the jury what, pardon me, what has video superimposition been used for in forensic anthropology normally?
It's primarily used to exclude the possibility that the remains in question are those of a particular decedent.
How do you do that if that's your purpose?
You would take the skull that you have of an unknown decedent that is in the laboratory, and you would take a photograph or a video of that skull, and you would take a photograph of the person, the putative decedent, the person that law enforcement or the medical examiner thinks that person may be.
Repeat the last word. I didn't understand it even.
I'm sorry.
Putative.
Excuse me?
Your last word that begin with a P.
Putative.
Putative. Sorry, putative. The suspected decedent.
Go ahead.
Slow it down, doctor. It'd be very helpful.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you take the skull at that point. You also take the photograph of that individual, and using a comparison method where you are able to superimpose that image on top of the skull using anatomical landmarks, you may be able to make a statement on whether or not it's possible that the photograph is of the person that is the unknown skull that you have.
What type of things are you comparing? You said anatomical landmarks, like what?
You usually would use something like the bottom of the teeth. We also use what we call osteometric points. So there are various points on the skull that we use when we do our metric analyses. So when we measure with calipers, we use certain anatomical landmarks. So it may be the edge of the orbits. It may be what we call there's a point at the root of the nose that we use, the top of the head, and the contours of the skull.
Now, in this case, identification of the skull was not the issue that you were addressing, correct?
Correct.
How did you utilize that process in seeking information as to whether the tape could have covered the nose and mouth?
I use that technique in order to scale the photograph of the skull with a photograph that was provided me by the FBI of the tape. Both of those images had metric scales in them. So by superimposing one image on the other and making those scales the same size, we're able to know that those two images are, in terms of scaling, correct.
So that would help you put the tape over the skull. But how do you then determine how it would have been had the face been there?
Well, we would go back to the original techniques that we've normally used superimposition for. That is to take the photograph of the skull, the photograph of the decedent, and then scale those using those anatomical landmarks.
So you're, in essence, making the photograph of the live person the same size as a one-to-one with the photo of the tape.
Correct.
Using a skull as the vehicle to do that.
Exactly.
And in this case, were you able to do that?
I was.
And did you review earlier State's Exhibit QH marked for identification? We showed it earlier here during the
Yes.
break. Okay. And does that fairly and accurately depict the video superimposition showing that process?
It does.
And would it help you in explaining what this tells us about the ability of the tape to cover the nose and mouth?
It would.
This time you ought to move it to State's Exhibit QH, the one file shown to the court, the movie file.
Noted previous objections by the defense, and you renew those at this time, Mr. Baez?
Yes, sir.
It will be received in evidence as states numbered.
Is it queued up?
Okay, prior to publishing this, I
Yep.
need to give you the following instructions.
I agree.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. This evidence is to be used only to illustrate the expert's opinion. Expert witnesses are like other witnesses with one exception. The law permits an expert witness to give his or her opinion. However, an expert's opinion is reliable only when given on a subject about which you believe him to be an expert. Like other witnesses, you may believe or disbelieve all or any part of the expert's testimony. You may proceed.
Oh, yes. Okay, it's published to the jury now. Right.
Oh yeah, 6 hours ahead, right?
Dr. Warren, in the video we just saw, we see the outline of the tape being moved up and down on the photograph. What is the reason for that?
To show that we don't know where the tape was, that it could have been higher, could have been over both the nose and the mouth, but it could have been.
Hey guys, if you just got a membership from Maybe, please make sure to say thank you. And to the rest of you, put some W's in the chat. The more you engage with the chat and you like and subscribe, you have to do those things in order to get a membership. So make sure to throw some W's in the chat. Thank her if you got a membership, and take advantage of all the fun members only things that you have at your disposal now. Sorry, I'm having PTSD with this cat.
Lower than that.
So there is a position demonstrated there where the tape would have been only over the mouth and not occluded the nose.
That's correct.
But based upon that video and your own research, would the single piece of tape, if applied in the position shown on the video, been sufficient to have covered the nose and mouth and made breathing impossible?
Yes.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
W. Peggy needs to be a member.
Please report, Mr. Ashton. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Dr. Warren.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you were hired in pretty early in this case, were you not?
I won't use the term hired. I was consulted. Yes.
Okay, you were consulted fairly early in this case.
Yes.
But you never saw the duct tape while it was attached to the hair mat.
That's true.
And that's what it was attached to, the hair mat.
Yes, there were strands of hair that were adhering.
And the photograph that you used to do this, what is it, a flash movie of sorts?
That's a QuickTime movie from a Photoshop program.
And Photoshop's something that you use to design websites and things like that?
It can be used in a lot of different applications. I'm not sure if you can use it for that.
Okay. However, it doesn't give you precise measurements and things like that. That's something that you did based on your experience.
It should give you very precise measurements if you're scaling. I mean, the image is the image. So,
however, the photograph that you have of Kaylee, you grabbed that from the internet.
correct.
And you don't have a scale on that photograph.
Correct.
And in fact, you don't even know how old Kaylee was when that photograph was taken.
That's correct.
Okay. And sir, the only reason you've shown this to this jury is because I guess it's to demonstrate that it's possible that this could have occurred.
Correct.
And when we say this could have occurred, I mean, it's possible that a piece of duct tape could have covered her mouth and her nose.
Yes.
Okay. And you're not testifying in any way that that's actually what happened.
No, I'm not.
Okay. And when you say it's possible, it's also possible that it was not.
Correct.
In fact, it's a form of speculation, is it not?
Look at that.
It's a form of demonstration to show a possibility. Yes.
Which is a form of speculation since you don't know, right?
Right.
Now, sir, you can't testify that this duct tape had anything to do with Kaylee's death, can you, sir?
No.
In fact, you can't even testify or base anything scientific that tape was associated with Kaylee after her death.
Can you
I'll
ask
rephrase
that again,
the
please?
question. Sure. You don't know if that duct tape had anything to do with the disposal or the death.
True.
Okay. And in fact, I'm gonna draw a model here, and I'd like to see if you agree with the facts.
Okay.
You understand that Kaylee was found on the surface, correct?
Correct.
So nice.
And that below the surface was the hair mat.
Correct.
Above the surface, I meant, sorry.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Sorry. And then after that was the mandible.
You're good.
Yes.
And then above that was the skull.
Correct.
Now, generally speaking, when a person's alive, their hair is on top of their head.
Correct.
So somehow, actually, I forgot to mention, the duct tape was also found in front, like that, attached to the hair, correct?
Correct. Across the front.
These multiple thumbs.
She is just so sweet. Also, I do want to add that I love how Baez uses pictures to accommodate all different types of learning. that's not really the way that I learn. But I recognize as someone who taught very briefly that this is important
And put it closer to the mic.
when you're dealing with a jury of 12
Everyone see
people.
that okay? As I mentioned earlier, sir, the hair is generally uphill.
Perhaps, but I did not see it too. Sure.
He has a great set of hair.
Yeah,
I don't want to exclude any.
no.
Everyone can see that, okay? Okay.
I cannot.
Oh.
Yeah.
How about this? May the witness stand down, Your Honor?
Let's
Stand
laugh.
down. Sir, when you stand down, you're going to have to face in the direction of the court reporter so she will be able to see.
Sure, yes,
and
sir.
hear you.
Now, sir, as we mentioned, the duct tape was attached to her hair, correct?
That's my understanding from observing the photographs.
And that's really the only thing, rephrase that. It was your understanding too, based on consultation and the evidence at the scene, is that at one time her skull was inside of 3 bags, correct?
Objection, hearsay, speculation. Who?
Objection, everything.
Sustainment, rephrase the question.
Yes, sir. Based on the evidence that you were given to make your, to form your opinions, it's your understanding that Kaylee Marie Anthony's remains at one time were in 3 bags, correct?
That is my understanding, yes.
And it is the understanding that there is a canvas bag. Were you able to see that canvas bag?
Only photographs.
Okay. And that canvas bag had a shape, like a round cylinder shape, correct? Like that as an opening?
Photographs that I saw were not clear in terms of what the opening looked like.
Okay. Were you able to see the handles of the bag?
I don't recall handles.
Okay. Do you recall if that bag, are you able to close that bag?
Again, I've only seen photographs of the bag, so.
So you have no idea as to whether the bag was closable?
I do not.
Okay. And you have no idea as to whether this tape was used to wrap Kaylee's remains or whether the duct tape was in the anatomical position of which it was found, because of course you did not see the remains as they were decomposed.
Objection, compound argument, assumes facts not evidence.
Sustain, rephrase the question.
Yes, sir. You have no idea the placement of that duct tape.
The duct tape was over at least over the mandible and some portion of the maxilla.
Okay. Now, but that's because it was attached to the hair, was it not?
I make that statement on the fact that the mandible was found articulated with the skull.
Well done.
And while we're talking about the skull, there's absolutely no way that the hair would have gotten underneath all of this because the body wouldn't have decomposed in that way. Isn't that true, sir?
Objection, assumes facts not evidence. I can explain more
Don't
to bench.
bite me.
No problem.
Thank you.
Sir, I'm going to show you State's Evidence 218. May I approach the witness?
You may. Want to do a lot?
No, sir. That's not.
Okay.
Now, that's a photograph where you can clearly see the hair mat, correct?
Correct.
And that hair mat was on the floor in the wooded area off Suburban Drive, correct?
The photograph is Suburban Drive and document speaks for itself. Photographs speak for itself.
Your Honor, I would object to these speaking objections.
Overrule, let's continue.
When the skull was found, the hair mat was on the floor, correct?
On the surface.
Yes, on the surface, of the surface. And right slightly above it was the mandible, correct?
Don't bite me.
Based on the photographs that I've seen, I was not at the scene.
I understand. But based on what you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order for the hair mat to be underneath the skull, it's clearly underneath the skull, is it not?
Yes.
Okay. So in order for the hair mat to be underneath the skull on the floor, something had to have made it either roll there or put the hair in that position, correct?
Yes.
And the duct tape also made its way in that direction with the hair, did it not?
Toward the surface. You mean?
Correct. Towards the surface. Correct. That's what I meant. Okay. May I get the photograph?
You may.
Thank you.
I don't know what to say about that comment. Let me address
Now, the
makeup.
video you showed,
One second.
again, of the possibility that that duct tape could have been in that position was quite graphic, was it not?
It was.
Okay. And was it to try and appeal to the jury's emotions when you asked Mr. Ashton to do that?
Objection. Decision to what may be broken.
You may. Yes. Members of the jury, would you step out for a minute, please? You may be seated. You may proceed with your proffer.
Yes, sir. Dr. Warren, you testified earlier that it was under your suggestion that this movie be prepared, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you had that discussion with Mr. Ashton, was it for the purpose of appealing to the jury?
No.
Was it for the purpose to demonstrate to the jury something of a graphic nature?
No.
Was it for the purpose of getting sympathy or getting the jury angry?
No.
And it was just for the mere possibility of showing that the duct tape could have possibly covered the nose and mouth.
That's correct.
I have no further questions.
Hopefully this comes in one. Oh, awesome.
Check and see if the jury's ready to come back in.
I think use a couple of breaks.
All right, why don't y'all take a 5-minute break and we'll get started at 20 minutes past. State recognized presence of jury.
Sir.
And does the defense.
Yes, sir, we do.
Mr. Baez, you may continue, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Warren, I just have a couple more questions. You're aware that another piece of Henkel duct tape was found 9 feet away, correct?
I was not aware of that.
Oh, okay. Now,
Everything
the
I use is smudge.
possibility of this
everything
demonstration that you did, that was just, of course, one possibility, correct?
Ask and answer.
Overruled.
One possibility.
The demonstration, the QuickTime video that you did, that was just one possibility. It's demonstrating one possibility, correct?
True.
Okay. And there are other possible scenarios that could be involved with both Kaylee's death, correct?
Correct.
And also the duct tape, correct?
In terms of the position of the duct tape over the face, no.
No, what I'm saying is that there are other possibilities, since you don't know the history of where the duct tape was originally, there are other possibilities that could involve that duct tape.
Of course.
Okay. And you don't have any QuickTime movies of those, do you, sir?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Yeah.
Redirect.
That was a little sassy. Mr.
Doctor, do you have an
Baez.
opinion as to whether the duct tape was placed on Kaylee Anthony before decomposition?
Yes.
What is that opinion?
It was placed on prior to decomposition.
What do you base that on?
On the fact that the mandible was found
Overruled.
on the position of the mandible still articulated with the rest of the cranium. On a surface deposition, skeletal elements get moved around. They get moved around by scavengers, insects. That mandible will always become disarticulated unless it is held in place by something.
And in this case, can you see anything holding it in place other than the duct tape?
No, sir.
Now, you're not saying the duct tape was actually stuck to the bones.
It was never stuck to the bone, no, sir.
So how does the duct tape during decomposition keep the mandible in place?
The mandible's probably stuck to the soft tissue as well as the hair. And then when the soft tissue decomposes, the duct tape stays in place and supply some sort of support for the mandible.
Now, Mr. Buck, could we have published states 218, please, Your Honor, in evidence?
Hey, mods, I need to replace the pin message.
States Exhibit 218, the
so
photograph.
I'm not going to read chats
Pull it
for
up,
the
please.
next like 5 minutes. I just wanted to let you know.
You need the
Okay.
Now, Doctor, this is the photograph that you were shown by Mr. Baez. I'm going to publish it to the jury now.
Right.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, this photograph shows that the hair, in fact, is not under the mandible, but posterior to the mandible. Is that
Correct. It's under the base of the skull.
not under the mandible?
Correct.
Now, how during decomposition does the hair end up not on top of the scalp?
The hair is attached to hair follicles on the galeal or scalp tissue. When that tissue decomposes, it tends to slide down. And so it's not uncommon to find what essentially looks like a bird's nest of hair settled around the base of a skeletal element or skull.
As we see here around the back of the base of the skull?
Yes.
And is that something you commonly see in decomposition elements where the hair basically just falls back and creates a nest?
Correct.
Just like that?
Yes, hair preserves fairly well. It lasts a while. It preserves fairly well. It lasts a while.
Don't you
No further
dare
questions.
bite me.
Mr. Baez?
Mr. Baez!
We can leave. We can bring that back on. Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You want to publish, Mr. Baez?
Yes, sir.
It's 218.
218, sir.
Okay, publish.
The next
Can you see that, sir?
witness
Yes.
major.
Can the ladies and gentlemen of the jury see it? Yes. Now, there is significant root growth underneath the mandible as well, correct?
I do see some roots there.
Okay. And roots underneath the mandible can also, in conjunction with, well, actually, let me ask you this. You see roots also attached to the hairnet, do you not?
I do.
Okay. The roots could also contribute to keeping the mandible in place, could it not, sir? As it is demonstrated in this photograph.
That's possible.
Okay, we can publish it. And the statement that you say, well, if I can have just a moment, Judge.
Mike?
I have no further questions. Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Does active decomposition inhibit plant growth?
No.
Could those roots have grown?
Calls for an opinion outside of this witness's expertise.
Sustain, establish a foundation. I'm to answer the question.
I'll just move on to another question, Judge.
Okay.
I guess what I'm going to ask you is, the roots can't grow in the hair until the hair has already fallen off the skull, correct?
Sustain unless you establish your foundation as the base of his knowledge and his qualifications to give
Well,
an expert
okay.
opinion.
Are you familiar at all with plant growth involving decomposition? Is that something you normally see?
Yes.
Okay. You're not a botanist,
No.
but have you had experience in evaluating plant growth in the context of taphonomy of remains?
Yes, I'm locating graves and changes in the environment in general.
Now, I guess my question is, Mr. Baez asked you if the roots in the hairball could keep the mandible in place. You said it could, correct?
It's possible. I would say roots can would keep a mandible in place under certain circumstances. I would say that's possible, yes.
But what has to happen before the roots can do that in this case? What would have to happen? Does the hair have to first fall off?
Yes,
Okay. My point is, until that point, there's nothing for the roots to grow in.
correct.
So the only thing that would be holding the mandible in place is what?
The tape.
Thank you.
Mm-mm.
Any additional questions?
Two areas that he covered that I'd like to ask you on. Number one, you're not a botanist,
Correct.
and forensic botany is a whole nother field, correct?
Oh, do not
And you would
fight
defer to a
me.
botanist as to those opinions.
Yes, I would.
Okay. Second of all, you can't, based on the evidence, the limited evidence that you have, know the tracking of that duct tape, can you, sir? Because you don't know where it was originally at to begin with.
The tracking.
Yeah, where you can't testify as to the positioning of the body at any point in time, can you, sir? Okay. And you can't testify as to where the hair was at one time or another.
No.
And all we have at this point are photographs that you've observed of duct tape stuck to hair.
Correct.
No further questions.
Okay, may the doctor be excused. Thank you, Dr. Warren. You may be excused, sir.
Michael Vincent, V-I-N-C-E-N-T.
This isn't who I was talking about.
Sorry, you testified in this case prior to today,
Dagnabbit.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You're a crime scene technician with the Orange County Sheriff.
Yes, ma'am.
But it doesn't
In connection
take long.
with this case, did you recover certain entomology or insect evidence from the trash
Can
that
be.
was located at one time in the Pontiac Sunfire that you've discussed during prior testimony?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Your Honor, if I may approach the witness with OO and OP for identification.
You may.
There we go. All right.
Yes, sir.
We have
All right.
to look first at OO for identification. Do the records of the Orange County Sheriff's Office or does your memory allow you to recognize that item?
Yes, it does.
And what do you recognize it to be?
This is one small vial containing maggots.
And where did everyone
preserves,
go?
Solution.
Was that an item that you collected, sealed, placed into that envelope for ultimate transmission to a Dr. Neil Pastel?
Can I refer to my report real quick?
May the witness utilize his report to reference his recollection as to what he did with the information?
You may.
I gotta find a. Well, thank
Okay,
you,
this
Muff.
is, this is the vial that contained maggots, correct.
Ew,
It was in the
gross.
trash bag.
Did you collect that from the trash bag and send it to Dr. Haskell?
I have in my report that I collected it, but that's not my initials on the envelope.
May I have your scissors?
What color lips, guys? Make sure to like the stream if you're just not watching. We dropped a bunch while I was doing stuff on the other stream.
Yes, these are the maggots that were collected from the trash.
Do the records of the Orange County Sheriff reflect that you sent that item then to Dr. Neil Haskell for evaluation?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as OP for identification. Have you take a look at the item inside that packaging and tell me if you recognize it as something that you collected.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
What is it?
This is bug insect eggs called pupae. It's in the late stage of their life cycle.
You collected that item, sealed it, and sent it to Dr. Neil Haskell for evaluation?
Again, it was sealed by Jenny and shipped by me. Yes, that's correct. It was sealed by Investigator Walsh and shipped off to Dr. Haskell by myself.
You're talking about Jennifer Welch.
Well, yes.
Those are all the questions I have. To
Cross-examination?
Mr. Vincent, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
These items of evidence were taken from the garbage bag, correct?
Yes, sir.
And these were collected from you on July 16th?
What was collected?
These pupae.
No, they were collected on August 28th.
Okay. However, you processed the vehicle on the 16th of July, correct?
No, I did not process the vehicle.
Was it July 17th then?
When you're referring to, what do you mean by processing the vehicle?
You inspected the trunk, inspected the items that were found in the trunk?
Yes.
Okay. And you're aware of the ability of entomology to be a useful tool for law enforcement, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I just heard you describe to Mr. Verdict that the insect puparia of this item of evidence was in the later stages.
Yes.
Okay. And it's your understanding that an entomologist can look at the stage of where maggot life is and be able to determine the life cycle of that specific maggot, correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This is outside the scope of the witness's expertise. No foundation's been laid for the witness to be able to answer.
I think I'm sorry. I think the foundation has been laid by this witness's testimony and his knowledge of the collection of such.
Collection and protection sustained.
May I ask him if he has knowledge of that, Judge?
Can you attempt to establish a foundation?
Yes, sir. Sir, you have some training in entomology, do you not?
Yes, sir.
In fact, you went to a course at the University of Florida, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And this course taught you that there are different stages of a maggot and other insects.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And an entomologist can take these stages and give you a pinpoint even of a time of death, correct?
Yes, it's possible.
Okay. And you were aware of this type of evidence when the car was collected on and inspected by you on July 16th, were you not?
No.
You didn't see any insect activity either in the garbage bag or in the trunk of the car on June 16, 2008? I'm sorry, July 16, 2008.
I didn't, no.
So you didn't see any insect activity in the trunk of that car when you first saw it?
Not in the trunk of the car. There was none that I saw.
All you saw was insect activity in the garbage bag, correct?
Sometime later, correct.
Okay. I have no further questions, Judge.
Redirect.
No redirect.
Wow.
Right.
Camera.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent.
Wild.
State may call our next witness.
Maynard.
This is awesome.
Robin Maynard, ROBIN,
You may proceed.
Thank you.
Oh,
In December of 2008, were you employed as a crime scene investigator with the Orange County Sheriff?
Yes, I was.
Were you one of the individuals who assisted at a site off
Hold
of
on.
Suburban Drive during the
Don't hit him.
recovery of the remains of Kaylee Marie Anthony?
Yes, I was.
As part of the assistance that you gave to other crime scene investigators there, were you responsible for documenting the collection of entomologic or insect activity that was present at the scene in December of 2008?
Yes, I was.
Was that evidence collected over over a period of several days?
Yes, it was.
If I may have OX for identification.
This damn cat.
And for counsel's reference, that's page 8 of her report.
She's guarding the door so none of the dogs.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as OX for identification. Have you taken a look at this packaging and tell me if you recognize it as something you've had contact with in the past?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
It's my label with my handwriting, and the evidence seals have my initials on them.
What is this item and when was it collected?
That's pupae. It was collected 12/14/08
Where?
at 8900 block of Suburban Drive.
As you collected each of these items of insect evidence, did you relay that information to other crime scene investigators on Suburban Drive?
As I collected those items, I consulted with Dr. Neil Haskell after, at the time, over a period of days that I collected. I don't understand what you mean other crime scene investigators.
Did you document the location of the collection
Yes.
with other investigators?
Yes, I did.
Would you have been the individual who placed it into this package and sealed it and then allowed the later transmission of the evidence to Dr. Haskell?
Correct.
I think I'm going to try this color.
If I may have items PT, PU, PV, PW, PX, PY, PZ, QA, QB, QC, QD, QE, and QF for identification. For counsel's reference, page 14. Yeah, questions with these items, John?
You may.
All right, I'm going to show you these in sequence, starting with PT, PU, PV, PW, PX, PY, PZ. I'll go to the Q items in a moment. Can you take a look at each of these items and tell me if that is entomologic evidence that you collected from scene on Suburban Drive in December of 2008?
All right.
Yes, they are.
Were you the individual who would have collected the item of evidence, placed it into the packaging, and sealed it for later evaluation by Dr. Neil Haskell?
Yes.
I don't know. I actually kind of like this
Next series of questions for QA through QF. Can you look at those packages and tell me if those are items of entomological evidence that you collected on Suburban Drive in December of 2008?
It's just a baby one.
Yes, they are.
Do each of the items that you've reviewed so far have an indication on the exterior of the location on Suburban Drive where the item was collected?
Yes, it does.
Damn cats. I only have one. I only need one. I'm super allergic to cats. And the cat loves me. That's why I'm always doing Flonase.
May I have PH through PS for identification?
All right.
Page 19.
Hey, Dubs. I'm not going to be able to see the chat for like 2 minutes, so you are the mod in charge right this moment.
Right, I'm going to show you PH, I, J, K, L, and M for identification. Have you take a look at the packaging of each of those items and tell me if those are items of entomological evidence that you collected and packaged from the scene on Suburban?
Yes, it is.
Do you indicate on the exterior of each of those packages where on Suburban that piece of evidence was collected?
Yes.
Which would have been the individual who then sealed it in the package and sent it or consulted with Dr. Neil Haskell about the evaluation of this evidence?
Yes, it was.
I'll show you what's been marked as PN, PO, PP, PQ, PR, and PS for identification. Have you taken a look at each of those packages and tell me if that's entomologic evidence that you collected from Suburban Drive in December of 2008?
Yes, it is.
You likewise indicate on the exterior of the packaging the location on Suburban Drive where the item was collected.
Yes, I did.
Once collected, did you then place the item in the packaging and seal it pending further evaluation by Dr. Neil Haskell?
Yes, I did.
All right.
If I may approach the witness with what's been marked as KV for identification.
Eyes are getting dry.
You may.
Thank you. Ma'am, can you take a look at KV for identification and tell me if you recognize the packaging?
I do.
How do you know that it is something that you've had contact with in the past?
It's my label with my handwriting and my initials on the evidence seal.
You indicate on the exterior of the package what was placed in that item.
I do.
What is it?
Piece of cardboard mat with pink raised heart-shaped material attached.
Where was that item collected?
It was on one of the lanes in the remains recovery search. One of the lanes, there were lanes, so when you do a search, there's a search area, and I identified things through each lane and how many feet north or south it was to that lane. So this was collected in one of the lanes of the search area.
On Suburban Drive.
on Suburban Drive. Yes,
The item was collected by you and placed into this package and sealed?
it was.
Okay.
Any other questions of this witness, Your Honor? Thank you.
That
Cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Ms. Maynard.
Good afternoon.
The entomological evidence that you collected, this was under the direction of Dr. Neil Haskell, correct?
Correct.
And there were multiple people doing this operation, were there not?
There were.
And it was thoroughly done.
Yes, it was.
Okay. In fact, it was so thoroughly done that Dr. Haskell even told you, stop, I have enough.
That's correct.
Okay. And the item that you just identified with a cardboard, that was found in one of the lanes.
Correct.
And there were all kinds of items found on all of these lanes, correct?
There was multiple evidence that was found in the lanes. Yes.
And when we say evidence, we also are talking about beer bottles,
Correct.
beer cans,
Correct.
some tires.
Yes.
There were also these concrete pavers nearby, correct?
I'm unaware of any concrete pavers. They didn't have anything to do with my area of responsibility.
There were so many items there in that area. It got to the point where you stopped collecting items because there was so much debris in that area, correct?
I was the lead in charge of sifting, so I was not in the actual primary search area. I had set up sifting stations west of the primary search area.
But you were there. From what you saw, there were plenty of items there, correct?
Correct. The items that I had to deal with were items that were being sifted. So if they were bigger, they really weren't a part of my responsibilities at the scene.
It appeared to you, but by being there, that people threw things there all the time. It was a common dumping area. There was plenty of debris.
I can't say it was a common dumping area. There were multiple items in that wooded area. Correct.
That have nothing to do with this case. But that's fine. I'll withdraw the question, Judge. This area is also across the street from an elementary school, correct?
I don't
Oh,
believe it's directly across the street. I believe the elementary school was further to the east.
The actual building is a little further to the east, correct?
Correct.
But it is right next to a elementary school, correct?
It's down the street from the elementary school.
Kids walk to school there?
I didn't see any children walking to school there.
Just a second, ma'am. Do you have personal knowledge whether kids walk to school or not?
No, I do not.
Objection sustained.
You don't have any personal knowledge as to whether children walk to school?
Objection sustained.
Yes, sir. I have no further questions.
Nothing else, Your Honor.
May the witness be excused. Thank you, ma'am. You may be excused.
all right. This is where it gets spicy. And then we are finally at the part with the major.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the
Witness.
time is now approximately
But
one
wait
past
till
the
you hear
hour
this.
of 5. We're going to recess for today. We will start back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. The dessert lady, how was that? Okay. All right. Please
He's
remember
asking
my
him about food.
previous admonitions. See you in the morning at 9 a.m. Okay, you may be seated. Okay, are there any other matters we need to take up prior to recessing to 9 a.m. tomorrow?
I have a brief one, if I may.
Yes, sir, you may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. I feel compelled at this time to file a tennis motion for a mistrial based on the highly prejudicial evidence that was admitted today on the superimposition video of a child's skull with duct tape wrapped around the face and a photograph. This was based on the witness's proffer that this was a possible way of, or a possibility. And the witness also testified that this was speculative. I think the overwhelming prejudicial effect was outweighed by its probative value, and we would hereby move for a mistrial based on the fact, Your Honor.
One question. I'm just waiting for the doors to be shut. Okay. Has not both the state and the defense advanced various theories as to the location of the duct tape?
As to the various locations of the duct tape? Yes.
And did not the witness testify that that was one possible scenario that he rendered, that there could be other possible scenarios?
The witness did. However, it's our position that it's not outweighed by the video of like 2 minutes or however long it was, almost 2 minutes long, of seeing a photograph of this beautiful child with duct tape wrapped around her face and her skeleton skull in the background. I think that served only one purpose, was to inflame the jury, especially this witness testified that he could have described and explained and given that opinion without the video.
Now, you indicated that the photograph showed duct tape wrapped around the head. Was duct tape wrapped around the head, or was duct tape superimposed?
No, sir, it was wrapped around the face because it was a two-dimensional video.
But it showed it like that rather than wrapping.
Correct. And if I said that, I misspoke, Your Honor.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we were talking about the same video.
I think we are.
Okay. State.
The testimony from the expert witnesses in this case is that at some point that beautiful child did have duct tape over the area of her face, her nose, her mouth, one or both.
Oh, go
I
sit
believe
down.
that the exhibit was necessary to establish the state's theory that this duct tape was sufficient to be the murder weapon, essentially, and was admissible for that purpose. I believe the doctor was very clear in indicating there were other possibilities. The video itself showed the duct tape moving above and below to clearly indicate that the position of the duct tape might not have been over both the nose and mouth. I believe it was a fair, though a very necessary demonstration for the jury in this case.
Sorry, guys.
Anything else from the defense?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. When does the court have to rule on a motion for mistrial? Court can what? Reserve ruling on a motion for mistrial, correct? The court can hold a ruling on a motion to mistrial, which was moved by the defense, up until the time before the court reads a verdict. Is that not correct?
I believe that's correct, sir.
And the verdict is not effective until after the court asks the verdict to be published, correct?
I believe that is correct, sir.
So theoretically, the court could look at a verdict, rule on your motion for mistrial before announcing the verdict, correct?
I believe you could.
Okay. Motion for mistrial at this time will be denied. I will take in
Denied.
consideration wherever future motions for mistrial, I will reserve ruling. But the motion for mistrial at this time will be denied. Okay, court will be in recess to 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Yep, go ahead.
Off the record, just update you on our schedule when we think we're going to be done.
Okay, that's fine.
Peggy, everyone deserves a defense.
Good
All
morning.
right,
Morning. My name is Neil Haskell, N-E-A-L,
very
H-A-S-K-E-L.
important witness. I will be right back.
Mr. Haskell or Dr. Haskell?
Dr. Haskell, work fine.
Dr. Haskell, would you tell the jury, please, how you presently are employed?
I'm employed as a professor of forensic science and biology at St. Joseph's College in Rensselaer, Indiana. I'm also a private international forensic entomology consultant.
And if you would just kind of give us your educational background that led you up to your present profession.
Studying entomology in my undergraduate days, I received a Bachelor of Science degree in entomology in 1969. Went back to graduate school later on, received a Master of Science degree in forensic entomology in 1989, and then completed a Doctor of Philosophy degree in 1993, again in forensic entomology.
Where did you get your various degrees?
Oh, yes, Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana.
The PhD also?
All three degrees spread over 4 decades.
Slow down a little bit. Yes. All 3 degrees from the same institution, is what I asked.
Yes. Sorry, I'm trying to speak slower too. All 3 degrees were from Purdue University.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the practice of forensic entomology since obtaining your degrees?
Lots of experience even before I obtained my degrees, but after I got my master's and PhD specifically in forensic entomology, I've worked cases worldwide, in excess of 850 cases, done a lot of work in, of course, in this country. I think I've qualified as an expert witness in 27 or 28 states and in Canada, and even had the opportunity to testify in the Ontario Court of Appeals in Canada. Worked, as I said, cases from Australia to Germany to England, Spain, Belize, Mexico, and Canada, of course.
Have you ever worked on cases in the state of Florida?
Yes, I have. I've done somewhere around 40 or more cases from Florida.
And have you ever been qualified to testify as an expert in the area of forensic entomology in courts in Florida?
Yes, I've testified, been under oath in depositions, in hearings or in trials about a dozen times.
Are you also a farmer?
Yes, I am.
And a rancher?
I used to have cattle and horses. Don't do that anymore.
At this time, Your Honor, I would submit Dr. Haskell as an expert in the field of forensic entomology.
What says the defense? Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, the doctor will be accepted as expert witness in the field. Tender, you may continue.
Since we've used the word forensic entomology a couple of times, could you explain to the jurors what that field means?
Forensic entomologist is an entomologist using entomological practices that have been standardized for centuries in a setting where we are dealing with courts and testimony and those kind of things.
Just in case someone doesn't know what entomology means, explain that for us.
Entomology is the study of insects, and it's a very fascinating field. There's so many different critters out here to study, and the forensic aspect of it kind of focuses on some major groups, flies, some of the fly groups and beetle groups, which are fascinating in themselves.
Now, were you contacted at some point in 2008 from someone at the Orange County Sheriff's Office about the possibility of examining some evidence involving the investigation of the death of one Kaylee Marie Anthony?
Yes, I was.
When were you first contacted by someone with law enforcement?
I think it was in either late August or early September.
And did you discuss, who contacted you?
Well, I had opportunity to talk with Michael Vincent with the evidence and had some conversation with him regarding the possibility of entomological evidence being present in this case.
And would those initial discussions have been involving a vehicle that was related to the early part of the investigation?
Yes.
When was the first time that you received, did you receive some evidence from Mr. Vincent to examine at some point?
Yes, initially I wanted to verify that we had forensically important insects. And so he said, well, there's bugs in the car. And so he sent me the samples. He collected some samples, and I wanted to see what we had to verify if, in fact, these were forensically important insects. So he sent me a couple samples that contained larvae and maggots, larvae, and pupae, the cocoon stage of the life cycle of flies, the higher flies. And that was what was in the two samples that he sent me at that time.
And approximately when did you receive the first two samples?
Again, I think it was sometime in September.
After you looked at those, did you have additional discussions with Mr. Vincent about the possibility of additional evidence being sent?
Right. The problem with the group was Forday, the humpback flies or coffin flies or scuttle flies. The common names aren't really too important, but it was the family Forday, which contains a couple hundred species or different kinds in North America. Well, the problem is that it's very difficult to identify the species unless we have an adult of the species. So I asked Michael if there was any possibility that he might have materials that would contain adults of these specimens. And he was thinking for a minute. He said, well, I remembered a lot of these specimens, larvae and pupae, being on evidence that was in the trash bag in the car. And so it had been sealed and stored, I think back in August or September, or August anyway, when they had done the initial inventory. And I said, well, it's worth a shot. He said there was a lot of stuff in there. And my thought was that if it's sealed up, then the adults can't get out, so the adults should be in there. So he sent them up, and so I did additional work going through examining those materials. There were some napkins, napkins, not napkins, paper towels, and the trash bag itself. And we found a number of adults, 15 or 20 adults. And so we had the means then to do a positive identification of the specimens.
Let me stop you for a second.
I need a glass of water too, some water. Hot down here. Thank you.
Let me show you State's Exhibit in Evidence 126. Ask you, is this the item you mentioned you were sent, the napkin which contained the specimens? If you open it, go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Oh. Now, when you received this item, you said that you did find some entomological evidence.
Yes, I did.
So what did you find?
Literally hundreds of these very tiny phorid flies. And once I contacted an expert out in LA County at the museum, Brian Brown, who was an expert in these particular flies. I sent him some adults of the specimens, and then I retained larvae and puparia, the puparia again being the cocoon stage of the life cycle, and sent him the adults for positive identification. And he sent me back identification stating that
I believe it's part of his opinion in the case, Your Honor.
Overrule at this point.
Just, if I may, as a predicate,
Right.
is this the kind of information that someone in your field would normally use in developing an opinion?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
It was the species of this group known as Megacelia scalaris. And in his report to me, he stated that it would be found regularly in decomposition, human cases and other animal cases of human and animal decomposition. They're very, very common in that.
Now, what you've just told us about where these particular variety of flies are found, is that just from him, or is that from your own knowledge as well?
Oh, well, I've had 30-some cases where we've had phorid flies. Some of my most noted cases, high-profile case from Vegas a few years ago with solely the...
That's fine. Thank you. I'm sorry. Now, so I just wanted to establish that the knowledge you're giving us about the particular fly is from your own knowledge, not from what you were told by some other expert.
No, in addition, it supported what I would...
Okay. Now, the flies, you said, describe how it is that, you found them, how you opened up the paper towels, what the process was, and where they were.
There were specimens in the bag itself, in a white plastic bag, and then there was a bag containing these paper towels. And so I started going through, there were a number of paper towels, I don't recall how many, but a number. And I started gently pulling them apart, and obviously there were abundance of puparia and larvae, all of them dried, of course, and dead.
What is a puparium?
Puparia is the cocoon stage of the life cycle of a complete metamorphosis, a complete life cycle.
I don't know why she was embarrassed. I hope it was nothing that I said. I simply said we have to make sure that everyone gets a fair defense, which is what we talked about during Jody's trial. So maybe something else is going on. I hope she's okay. We love her here.
It is a cocoon stage. We call it in the flies the puparia.
Okay, thank you. But go ahead. I just wanted to get that.
Just went away to
So
get some
as I'm
peas.
opening these paper towels, I'm noticing that there is an abundance of larvae and puparia, and I even found some adults, a few adults on these paper towels. As I shook them out into, individually shook them out into a white porcelain pan, so we can see them, because these are very small, white porcelain pan, and they're very small. Larvae are anywhere from maybe 1 millimeter to 3 or 4 millimeters, and millimeter being somewhere around or 4 millimeters being around about a 16th to an 1/8 of an inch, very, very small.
Now, when you opened up the towel and you found all of these, or the towels or napkins, whatever you want to call them, and you found all this preparing, did there seem to be something on the towels that the flies were attracted to?
Yes, I associated the presence of the flies with the presence of the substance that was on the towels.
And what did you recognize the substance on the towels to be?
Well, I thought it was a good possibility because the flies were there. The larvae were there, obviously feeding and completing their life cycles, that it most likely was decompositional fluid.
Did you do anything in order to further that belief that it could be decompositional fluid?
Absolutely. We go to the next step, and that was to suggest that, or request that this material be analyzed by somebody that could analyze this type of material.
And did you send this item to Dr. Arpad Voss at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory?
Yes, I did.
And did you receive back, did you learn what his evaluation of those was? And did you use that in your opinion?
Yes, he stated that the material was adipocere, the eventual breakdown of fluids that originate from decomposing material.
This witness is attempting to testify as to findings of Dr. Voss and exactly what his findings are.
Objection overruled.
Are you familiar from your own work in what adipocere is?
Absolutely.
Is that something that you frequently deal with in your forensic entomological evaluation of crime scenes?
Absolutely.
All right, so you have looked at the flies, you have gotten the report back from Dr. Voss. Or what is the next thing that you do in the case?
Well, in this particular case, we had some timelines with regards to the whereabouts of the paper towels and this bag. And so I started to make a determination of the impact of decomposition, impact of the temperatures, and impact and presence of these insects at different given times. Okay, when would we have expected to see these, given that we have decomposition present? And so I developed a timeline based on what I had used entomologically in my analysis.
Now, in addition to the Megacelia scalaris, that's the majority of the tiny flies that you found, did you find any other entomological evidence in your examination of the evidence from the trunk?
In the paper towels was a leg, only a leg, and I can't tell you which leg, because there are 6 of them on an insect. It was a leg of a fly that we find one of the species of a group of flies, which we find almost all the time on forensic cases, and that was the blowfly. It was a leg of a blowfly. There are about 90 different kinds of blowflies in North America, and they're regionalized to some degree. And so it was a leg of what I believe one of the southern species of blowflies that were present at that time of year.
Now, the flies that you found in the trunk, are any of them forensically specific to human decomposition?
No.
Are these flies frequently found in cases of human decomposition?
Yes.
But also in cases of non-human decomposition?
Right.
Are these particularly the Megacelia scalaris? Is that also a common fly for even non-mammalian decomposition?
That's correct. The Megacelia scalaris is it likes to feed on about anything.
All right. Now, you understand from the, let me rephrase that. Let me present to you a hypothetical that the body of a young child was stored in the trunk of that car for a period of time and then removed and deposited in another location. Does that fit with the entomological evidence you found?
Absolutely.
Okay, can you tell the jury how it fits?
Well, as at the time of death, decomposition begins, and it progresses through different stages. Or I don't like to specifically say this is stage oriented, but there's a progression as the tissues of the body go from one biochemical and change to another and to another and to another throughout the whole progression of decomposition. The interesting thing about this and the insects is that associated with these different biochemicals and the changes in the biochemistry of the body decomposing, we have different insect groups coming in and feeding at that particular time. The term we use is partitioning of the food resource, and it's a well-known ecological survival mechanism for different organisms. And so the blowflies are they're the bright, shiny green and iridescent blue-colored flies that you'll find around trash cans and around the dead deer that's laying out along the highway. And they're usually the first ones in. They're there if the body is accessible and the conditions are favorable. They're there almost immediately, within seconds to minutes if the temperatures are high. You have plenty of high temperatures down here in Florida. As that body progresses in decomposition stages, the biochemistry changes. And so there's a point where the mother blowfly is no longer interested in that food resource. Mother fly, whether you're a blowfly or whether you're a humpback fly, a forward fly,
Hey guys,
mother
if you
fly
could
is
make
interested in
sure
getting her
to
next generation started
like
by
the
laying eggs
stream, that would
on
help us
a
not
reasonable food
to-
source that she thinks it can support her next generation. So there'll be a point where mother blowfly says, hey, this is changed too much biochemically. So I'm going to go out and find a fresh kill deer, a roadkill deer. Or I'm going to find a little mouse that's out here and it's freshly dead, and I'm going to put my eggs on there, and that's where the next generation is going to come from. And so as the blowflies drop out, for instance, other groups will kick in, and the forward flies are a group that comes early, but not as early as the blowflies, for instance. And so there will be some decomposition to have progressed to before the forward flies would really be interested in calling this the home for the next generation.
And how advanced does decomposition have to be for the forward flies to become the more dominant fly?
Well, with my experience with the forwards, we can see them, particularly in the heat of the summer, we can see them within just a few days, or they may come much later, weeks, even months later. And the interesting thing about the forward flies are that they're very tiny. As I related the size of the larvae, mother fly is not very big. Anywhere from the group can be as small as 1 millimeter in length through maybe 4 or 5 millimeters in length. Maybe a few that could be a little bit larger, but the particular species that we're dealing with is a very, we would call them gnat-sized flies, and they have this tremendous ability to get through cracks, get through very small openings. I've seen them work down through cracks or recovered them in under concrete that had just a few cracks in it. They had gotten down and developed larvae and or adults, and it's amazing where they can get into and how they can get into things. But they come a little later in the decompositional process.
So in this circumstance, you found a relative absence of the early first decom flies.
Overrule at this point. Wait till you finish asking the question. And doctor, do not answer the question until I instruct you to answer the question.
And a greater number of the slightly later decom flies. What does that tell us about whatever was decomposing in this trunk?
Just a second, doctor. Is there an objection now?
Yes, sir. I would still say that's leading.
Overrule. You may answer the question, doctor.
Thank you, Your Honor. It tells me that the body would have had been deposited very quickly into the trunk, and the first flies that come would have had to been excluded. And as decomposition progressed, these little tenacious forward flies found a way to get in and begin colonizing in the trunk of the car.
Have you had experience in the past in dealing with bodies that were decomposing in trunks of cars?
Yes.
And have you found in your experience that trunks do exclude the blowflies, the very early flies?
They have. The blowflies are pretty tenacious too, and it depends on, of course, it depends on whether you got a junky old car with rust holes in it, or whether you have a well-made car that can exclude. I've seen exclusions. I've seen access in trunks also by the blowflies, but there seems to be obviously a delay in those blowflies getting in.
What would the effect of wrapping the body in, say, a plastic bag or two? Would that have the effect of lessening the amount of the early flies?
Oh, absolutely. I've done experiments where there's been a question: was this victim in a plastic bag or not? And we found that if the plastic bag is totally closed at the mouth, tied off and or wraps, it can delay several days, and it may delay to the point where the body had, and the pigs in our experiment, had decomposed to the point where, again, the blowflies were no longer interested and went someplace else.
Was there any other entomological evidence of significance sent to you from the trunk?
To my recollection, no.
Were you able, based upon the entomological evidence you found, to come to an opinion or an estimate of the amount of time that if there was a body with a decomposing material, would have been in the trunk of the car?
Well, in my opinion, the decomposing material, well, the source of the decomposing fluids, in my opinion, that were in the trunk, could not have been in the trunk very long because of the heat of Florida at that time of year. And obviously, whatever was in the trunk had to be out of the trunk by the time the vehicle was abandoned. And in doing some calculations based on energy units and decomposition, I was able to make an estimate that 3, 4, 5 days in the trunk of that car with that heat would have certainly produced enough of the purged fluids from the remains to have had the amount that would have been present to attract the forward flies that we had, these little minute flies that we had on these paper towels in the trunk of the car. You
mentioned about the significance of heat. What is the significance of heat in this process?
The flies, the insects, and all the arthropods, the group of insects are in, are cold-blooded creatures. And they are dependent for their metabolism, their growth and development. How fast or how slow that goes is dependent on your environmental temperatures. And the environmental temperatures, if they're warm, will drive these enzymes to work quite fast. And so you'll get growth and development very rapidly. If it's cool or cold, it can slow it, or it can halt it, or even if it gets too cold, it may actually kill the specimens, the little growing maggots or puparia.
So based upon whatever the heat, the temperature might have been in the trunk when this item is decomposing, it would either speed up or slow down decomposition and this entomological process you talked about. Is that?
That's correct.
Now, at some point in the November, December of 2008, had you made arrangements and plans to come to Florida to inspect the vehicle yourself?
Absolutely.
Around that period of time, did you receive some surprising news from Florida?
Yeah, the remains of a little girl had been found.
Did you go ahead with your plans and travel to Florida during the week that the body was found?
Yes, I did. We'd already had plane tickets, so I chose to just go ahead and use those and come down a few days. I think I came down on the 16th of December. The body was found, and they were processing the scene sometime around the 11th, 12th, or 13th, and then continuing on. So I just waited until my tickets were good and didn't see any real need to be down here any quicker than that, because we had, I felt, adequate folks that knew what they were doing with the entomology and so forth. And so when I got down here, I had an opportunity to do what we planned to do at that time, plus other things, obviously.
Between the 11th and the date you came, were you continue to consult with law enforcement about collecting entomological evidence and how they could help you in your work?
Absolutely.
And when you came down, did you actually travel to the scene where the remains had been found and inspect some of the area?
Yes, I traveled to the scene. I also went to the impound yard where the vehicle had been impounded for a number of days, and talked with the impound, with the manager of the impound yard and the person that actually picked up the vehicle.
Did you also go to the medical, excuse me, the medical examiner's office and actually examine some of the evidence that's found with the remains?
Yes, I did. I made collections at the ME's office.
And through that process, were you sent, or did you take away from that a large number of entomological specimens from the scene?
We had specimens from the scene, and we had specimens from the medical examiner's office.
And did you also examine those items?
I certainly did.
Would you describe to the jury what the process is for examining an item of entomological evidence? What do you have to actually go through to do that?
Well, obviously, first of all, you need to maintain chain of custody and make sure that the samples are correct. And then once I've recorded what sample I was looking at, we have sample vials based on protocols that my colleagues and I have established somewhere around 25 years ago or so. And then we will do a microscopic examination of the specimens, attempt to make identification to at least some level of the etymological taxa or group that it is found in. And then once we have the specimens identified to certain levels, then we can go ahead and begin to relate that species identification or group identification with known growth and development standards for those different species. In other words, species A may grow at 80 degrees constant temperature, may grow at a certain rate. Species B may take 10 days longer, and so on. And so that was important if we could get a species identification valuation on this. And then we do our analysis and write up based on how long we would expect those insect specimens to have been present on this remains.
Now, you mentioned before that decomposition is temperature dependent. Is the life cycle and growth of insects also temperature dependent?
Yeah, decomposition is temperature dependent. Insects are temperature dependent because this is all cold-blooded, and the enzymes are driven by those environmental temperatures that the remains or the carrion is placed in.
Now, when you
carrion placed in.
When you examined the entomological evidence from the scene and from the medical examiner's office, can you just tell the jury, summarize what you found?
I found a number of species that and groups that I would have expected on a advanced decomposing remains. I found, of course, a few blowfly puparia. Again, I'm going to talk about this puparia as the cocoon stage of the life cycle of the flies. So I found at least 2 species of blowfly puparia. I found, of course, some of these gnat-like flies. And I found housefly relatives in the housefly group Mussidae that were present, 2 or 3 species there, or groups there, or genera per se. And then I found a real long grower known as the black soldier fly, Hermatia lucens. And these were all
when I went to
past the end of their growth and development. They had all long hatched out, left behind their telltale puparia, which I found puparia in some cases that are hundreds, if not thousands.
All right. When I went to nerd camp at San Diego State University, I told you guys about it last week. It's when I went to forensic science camp for 2 weeks when I was in high school. We did a lot of stuff involving dead animals and dead humans that bravely and respectfully donated their bodies to science. And I don't how do I say what I want to say? And I think I can wrap up his testimony now that I'm getting the drift of it. The amount of things that show up when you die is alarming. Specifically the flies, like all different types. And you can visually see like one fly is not similar to the other. It is very bizarre. And it is like, I guess you walk away with a new appreciation for life, because that stuff is nasty, and I don't know why someone would want to spend a career focusing on this, but this was one of their star witnesses.
Years old, so they can be very persistent and last a long time. And all of these were consistent with advanced extended postmortem interval remains.
Do all of those insect remains that you found tell you a story about these remains?
Oh, we're almost done
how they
with
got
him.
there, what stage they got there, and how long they've been there?
Within certain degrees, yes. Since we had gone clear through the life cycles of all of these species and specimens, we have established a minimum time, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't have been much earlier than what the minimum time suggested.
All right. First question, does the relative presence of different kinds of flies tell you anything about whether this body, in your opinion, was placed there quickly after death, or was there some delay?
Again, the specimens from the scene suggested, in the absence of large numbers of the blowflies, the califores, that most likely there had been an initial placement that excluded these guys right off the bat. Because had the body been placed initially, immediately upon death, out in this environment, we should have seen literally thousands of blowfly puparia left behind, and we didn't find that.
Now, did you find flies, as you did in the trunk, that would reflect decomposition of 3 or 4 days, after 3 or 4 days, something like that?
There were Megacelia scalaris present on the in the area where the body, the remains were found.
Does that allow you to render an opinion about how far along in decomposition the body was when it was placed there?
Well, given that the point that we probably had initial decomposition in a place where we had excluded the initial colonizers and then placed out there, I have no question that that body had been out there for many months.
And when you say many months, can you give us, is that as specific a range you can give us, just many months?
Based on the recovery from the scene, I believe I stated June and/or early July, something like that.
Now, when you say the body was deposited there, is it your opinion the body was deposited there as a skeleton, or that it was deposited there as a complete body, but just in the early stages of decomposition? What can you tell us about that?
Well, I believe since we did have blowflies, a few blowflies come in my opinion, that we did not have skeletal remains being deposited there. The insect fauna, the group of insects that we found, was consistent with a body that was partially decomposed, purging fluids, bloat, that in somewhere in that realm.
But still with soft tissue.
Oh yes, with considerable soft tissue.
Coco, no.
Does the findings at the scene and the findings in the car, in your opinion, tell a consistent story?
Yes, they certainly do.
And what is that story?
That, decomposition had begun, that the early colonizers had been excluded for the most part, that at some later date, a few days, and the body couldn't have been in the trunk of the car very long because of the progression of decomposition under those temperature regimes, that body would then had been removed and placed out and could have been initially placed where it was finally found, and it had to be quite fast and rapid.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
May it please the court, Mr. Ashton. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Dr. Haskell.
Nice to see you again, Mr. Myers.
Pleasure's all mine, sir. I want to take you back to the very beginning of this case and ask you in
What's
reference
that
to
about?
your first knowledge or contact about this case. You actually first heard or were first consulted about this case with Dr. Voss, were you not?
I guess the initial contact would have been through Dr. Voss. He had, we were talking, I called him on another, I think I was talking about another case that he helped me on a regular basis on decomposition and so forth. And he had mentioned that Michael Vincent had seen fruit flies come out of the trunk of the car.
And you had told him that those fruit flies could possibly be coffin flies.
They would be the Ford fly group, yes.
Okay. And you and Dr. Voss are old colleagues.
We go back a good 25 years to the body farm in Tennessee.
So you know each other very well.
Well, I see him intermittently. I've had dinner at his house and so forth, yes.
And it's your understanding that Dr. Voss is a biochemist, correct?
I knew he was an anthropologist. I really wasn't sure how much biochemistry he had, but he studied biochemistry, and that's what he was studying back in the late 80s at the body farm. And but I knew he was studying with Dr. Bass, the anthropologist there. So I was assuming he was getting his degree as an anthropologist.
As a what?
Anthropologist.
Anthropologist. Okay. Do you recall testifying in your deposition that he was a biochemist?
Objection. Relevance. Collateral feature.
Sustain.
Now, the statements that you had made to Dr. Voss that these were possibly coffin flies, that was before you saw any evidence in this case, right?
No, you were correct.
Okay. And subsequent to that, Dr. Voss had given your name to Orange County, and that's when they contacted you directly. Is your understanding of that correct?
I'm not sure I don't remember.
I'm sorry?
I don't remember.
Okay. Now, let's take your findings from the very beginning, if I can. I have a copy of your report. Do you have a copy of your report with you?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Here we go with him using
This would be the August 28th?
Correct,
date?
first report.
Okay.
Okay, so
photos, which I
when you
think was
first
really smart.
receive something, it's your understanding that you received items from the trash that was in the trunk of the car, correct? The first two vials that you received?
I thought that it was from trash bag and trunk of car. That's what the sample suggests, yes.
Okay, so it wasn't from the actual trunk, it was from the trash, correct?
That was my understanding.
Okay, and the flies that you found were the Magacilia scalarius, correct?
That's correct. A Ford fly, 4-day, yes.
And for those of us who aren't bug people, those are gnat-like type flies. They're very tiny.
They're very tiny.
They look like fruit flies. So
obviously they look like fruit flies to Mr. Vincent.
Okay, so if those are the kind of flies, like if I go out to a restaurant and I have some leftovers and I leave them in my car and I come back the next day and the car smells and I see these little gnat-like flies running around, those are the fruit flies?
You'd have to collect them for me and I'd identify them.
Okay, but that's commonly what you see, correct?
I don't think so with leftovers from the restaurant because that's processed food.
Okay, so if something's left in your car, you kind of see these fruit flies or in garbage. That's what Mr. Vincent thought he saw.
If we're talking garbage, that could be.
Okay. While we're talking about garbage and trash, the Magacilia scalarius is also found in trash, is it not?
Garbage.
Garbage. Okay, now we're doing that again. Okay. Magacilia scalarius is found in garbage, sir.
It's found in decomposed. Like I said, it eats anything, and it can be found in rotting seaweed. It can be found in decomposing vegetable material. It can be found in fungus. It can be found in dead insects. If you have a pile of insects, you might find it in that. You can find it about anywhere.
Oh.
I'm just gonna look for it. That's all right.
That's good.
Now, even in your report, you indicate that these flies, sorry, did everyone see that okay? Even in your report, you put down that these flies are also found in, I want to use your exact word, other organic material, correct?
I didn't want to mislead you, sir.
I'm not saying you would, sir. So, Ford flies can be found in trash, correct? Garbage. And, okay. And they were found and they were collected from a garbage bag.
It says trash bag there.
Yes, sir.
You changed it.
Well, I crossed it out for you.
Well, I was looking at a trash bag.
Okay.
I think that's what I referred to, did I not?
Okay. So you find these in garbage bags and trash bags, and that's where they came from, correct?
These came from the trash bag from the trunk of the car, yes.
Then you asked CSI Vincent to inspect the car a second time, did you not?
Yeah, I wanted to see if he could find some adults.
Correct. You wanted the adult flies to be able to make the species identification.
That's correct.
To be more scientific and more precise.
Yes.
Okay. And he checked the trunk, and that turned up negative results.
That's correct.
Okay. Then after that, he told you, hey, I remember I saw some some more insect activity in the garbage or trash.
Trash bag.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was sealed, and he went in there and got it. Correct.
That's
No,
fair.
well, he got the package where it was sealed, sent it directly to me, and I opened it.
Okay. And he sent it to you, and that's when you were able to find more of these
I don't know.
forage flies in
Kind of
garbage.
reminds me of a
Trash bag.
teacher giving me a hard time.
Okay. So he basically sent you trash or garbage, and you found more of the same thing. But this time you found adult flies.
I found adults that made it possible to make a species identification.
I could be wrong though.
Okay. And then at that point, and that was the conclusion of your evaluation of the materials of the car, right?
Not quite. I think I mentioned that we looked at paper toweling, and this is where the majority of the forage specimens were found.
Right.
And they were associated with the material that was, that I believe at that point was probably decomposition fluids because of the high numbers of these specimens on these paper towels.
Now, you also know that, of course, DNA can be grabbed from any cell material other than red blood cells, correct?
I know that DNA is prevalent in a lot of stuff.
Okay. And in fact, you can get DNA from some insects, can you not?
Well, the
Some
insects have DNA, and some of my colleagues have done research to be able to extract human DNA from mosquitoes, from bed bugs, from lice, and even maggots.
Okay. And these top paper towels weren't sent for DNA analysis, were they?
I don't know.
Okay. You didn't send them for DNA analysis.
I requested a biochemical assay on these to determine if we did have decomposition fluids on these paper towels.
My question to you, sir, is you didn't send them away for DNA analysis?
No.
Okay. Instead, you sent them to Dr. Voss,
That's correct.
your old colleague. Your old colleague.
My trusted colleague and
Okay.
yes.
And then Dr. Voss, are you familiar with the actual studies that he did
Well, I've read several of these studies. He's done a number.
on the actual paper towels is what I'm referring to?
I believe I got information that it was adipose here.
Okay. No, my question is, sir, are you familiar with what exactly he did to determine whether that was adipocere? What tests he ran on it?
No, I trusted him to do the right test.
Okay. So you can't testify intelligently as to what actual exams were done and so forth from that. Just what he told you.
I can testify intelligently, but I will say that, no, I don't know.
Sir, I'm not insulting you in any way. I'm just
I wouldn't
saying,
think so.
I'm just saying you can't give this jury any solid facts as to what exactly was done with these paper towels, only what Dr. Voss told you the results were.
That's certainly correct.
Okay. Now, subsequent to that, you also found on this paper towel one blowfly leg. Correct?
That's correct.
Now, a blowfly leg was found in the garbage or trash
From the paper towel.
from the paper towels. Now, it's very common. Now, you stated that blowflies are the number one, I guess they're the most prominent of the early colonizers for decomposition, correct?
Absolutely.
But they're also found in your house.
I found one last week in my house.
Okay. And you can also find them in trash or garbage.
Only if we have unprocessed meat present. Sometimes some
That's
processed
interesting.
meat, but primarily unprocessed meat that would be in the garbage itself.
And these are the flies you can often find on your windowsill when you don't clean it for a while.
My wife does a pretty good job of cleaning my windowsill, so no, I wouldn't find them on my windowsill.
It's not yours,
Yeah.
generally speaking, right?
But houses will have some blowflies in them.
Okay. And what you look for as an entomologist are a large number of these blowflies, do you not?
Well, I can look for one, or I can look for thousands.
But my point is, when you usually have a decomposing body,
Oh
there are
my
generally
God,
speaking
he's really
many of
getting
these
on my
blowflies.
nerves.
That's correct.
And they lay hundreds and hundreds of eggs, rather.
Each female can lay up to 300 or 400 eggs. Yes.
Okay. And it gets to the point when a body is decomposing that you will have thousands and thousands of eggs and maggots.
Tens of thousands.
I'm sorry?
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands. Okay. And in this trash bag, all you could find, you couldn't even find a full one. You found a leg.
One of them lost her leg, I guess.
Yeah. And that is not unheard of to find a blowfly or a part of a blowfly in trash or garbage.
Or no blowflies in trash or garbage. Yes.
But the answer to my question is yes, right? It's not unheard of.
Oh, no, not unheard of.
Okay. So this is
Sorry,
everything
guys.
that, as far as entomological evidence is concerned, that you were able to obtain from the from the car. Were you given any other entomological items?
Yeah, we did have some. Later I examined some filters from vacuum cleaner where they had vacuumed the trunk of the car itself. I think before removal of the carpet, and there were wasn't a lot, but there were some forward flies consistent with Megacelius scalaris, that species, and some other carrion insects that were in the trunk of the car itself.
Like a mosquito?
Could have been. That's not
Have the
carrying
list.
that.
Would you like to see it, sir? Would that-
Yeah, I think I have mine someplace, but that would.
You may.
Okay, sir. Now, this was sent to you in wasn't it 2011, early 2011?
It could be.
Yes. Okay. So almost 3 years later, you got the vacuumings of when they first processed the car on the 16th of July, correct?
That's correct.
So what happens is CSI gets there, they collect the car, after the garbage or trash bag's been removed, and they vacuum the entire car, and that goes into a filter, and that was sent to you.
Oh,
Well, a filter interrupts the suction into it.
And you're able,
Collected in the filter, yes.
and as you mentioned, you were able to pick out a few more insects, correct?
Correct.
Not a great deal,
No.
just a few more. Okay. And this, of course, could be consistent with these falling out of the trash or garbage bag.
No, they could have been, that would be consistent with them coming into the decomposing fluids that were in the trunk of the car itself.
And also falling out of the trash, correct?
I don't think they were falling out of the trash.
You don't think, you don't, it's,
In my opinion.
so it's your testimony, sir,
I'm
that
making a
flies can get
decision.
In order to
Moving.
document the process, we began with
I'm over it.
You may proceed.
Wait,
Ms.
how
Welch,
long?
you are
Oh,
the
yeah.
crime scene investigator that testified about
Oh
arriving
my
at
God, Coco,
Suburban Drive
stop.
on December 11th and beginning the photography process, correct?
yes.
Can you tell the members of the jury how long the Orange County Sheriff's Office crime scene personnel, as well as FBI evidence response team and other agency members, were at the scene on Suburban prior to its being released?
Yes. With it beginning on December 11th to the last day, we were there a total of 10 days.
Now, during that 10 days, it was your responsibility to photograph things as they were discovered or collected, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, how many people, just an estimate, how many people do you believe were there assisting?
I would say 50 or
Gonna
over. I'm not sure of the
take
number.
that myself.
Now, in order to try to document the collection process, what did you all set up out on Suburban Drive?
In order to document the process, we began with setting up a baseline. From the baseline, we then set up search lanes. And then later, during the period of being out there, we set up wooden stakes that helped to serve as a grid.
And as items were found within that grid or on the search lanes, would that item be flagged and then photographed by you prior to its collection?
Yes.
Can you tell the members of the jury a little bit more about the environment where this was taking place? We saw the initial photographs of the wall of vegetation. Once you got past that, was that an open clearing? How would you describe it?
I would describe it as an area of dense vegetation. There were the hanging vines, there were trees, there were palmetto trunks. As we began searching and clearing the scene of the leaf litter, getting down into the actual surface, there was roots, and then going deeper, there were larger roots.
All right. Is this a situation where it's actually difficult to walk on the surface because of all of the roots of various sizes?
Yes, initially with the large amount of vegetation, it was difficult to walk around. As we began to clear and we started coming across the large trunks and large roots, then yes, it was still difficult.
Now, in order to assist in clearing the area, you all normally are provided with certain instruments. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. If I may show the witness what's introduced as 201 in evidence, Your Honor.
You may.
And since it's in evidence, may I publish during the testimony?
You may.
Do you see 201?
Yes, I do.
What are these items that are shown in this photograph?
It appears to be on the far left a machete, and then to the
What?
right, when viewing the photo, it looks to be sheaths.
The sheath for the machete?
Yes, the cover for the machete.
All right. Are those standard issued items for crime scene investigators with the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, machete with the
Oh.
sheath is issued to crime scene investigators.
When you were documenting
I was gonna say, what in the hell is that doing in front of an elementary school? Holy smokes.
this scene, was that something that was at the scene when you got there, or do these items belong to somebody with the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
These items may belong to someone at the Orange County Sheriff's Office because while out on the scene, I don't recall seeing a machete already out on scene.
If I may have GX for identification. Ma'am, can you see GX for identification in front of you?
Yes, I can.
Is that photograph a fair and accurate representation of the surface of the scene after some clearing?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce GX for identification into evidence.
What's asked in defense?
No objections.
Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
You may publish.
Can you describe what we are seeing here for the members of the jury?
Yes, this is a photograph showing palmetto trunks that we were able to see after searching and doing some clearing. And in this photograph is also an evidence flag indicating an item of evidence.
Now, how much clearing has been done prior to when you took this photograph?
We would have cleared to the west of the baseline that we had set up. And this photograph is representing approximately clearing from the surface of 0 to 4 inches.
If I may have GY for identification. Do you see GY? Tell me when you do.
Yes, now I do.
All right. That evidence flag that we saw in GX, does that appear in GY?
Yes, it does.
All right. And what is it that that evidence flag is denoting?
The evidence flag is being utilized to indicate a bone that was located on scene.
Can you annotate the screen with the location of this bone?
Yes.
Did you draw the attention of Dr. Schultz at some point to this bone?
I don't recall if I did or if the person who located had.
That's wild.
Did you ultimately collect that bone?
Yes, I did.
Did you endeavor to make some measurement of how far into the dirt or the surface that bone resided was?
Yes.
Okay. May I publish this?
Sorry,
You
guys.
might-
Is this a fair and accurate photograph of that
Yes,
you were
it
trying
is.
to depict? Your Honor, at this point in time, I'd seek to introduce GY for identification into evidence and seek permission to
No
publish.
objections.
It will be received in evidence the state's numbered. You may publish.
Thank you. Right. If I may have HA for identification. I'm sorry, HB. Ma'am, can you see HB?
Yes, I do.
Is that a photograph of the depth at which this item was found?
Yes, it is.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of that depth?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce HB for identification into evidence.
What's asked in defense?
No objections.
Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
You may publish.
And if I may have HF for identification? You collected that item, you said?
Yes, I did.
Do you see HF on your screen?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the item that you collected from that location?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this point in time, I would seek to introduce HF for identification into evidence.
Be received in evidence the state's numbered.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
You may publish.
In addition to photography, were you responsible for the collection of, for the documentation and collection of other items of evidence at the scene?
Yes, I was.
Do you recall, or do the records of the Orange County Sheriff reflect how many different items were documented and collected?
Yes. Actually, on the scene of Suburban Drive, I collected over 390 pieces of evidence.
Jeez.
Did the majority of that consist of bottles and other types of trash?
Yes, it did.
Does that number include pieces of black plastic bag that were scattered about the scene?
Yes, it does.
Did you collect a piece of duct tape that
Yes.
was at the scene?
Sorry, yes, I did.
Where was that in relationship to the main site where the skull was recovered?
That piece of duct tape was located near the area where the skull was collected to the southwest.
If I may have LB for identification?
I don't think so.
You may.
I'll show you what's been marked as LB for identification, as I indicated. Tell me if this is something that you recognize that you've had contact with in the past.
Yes, I recognize.
How do you recognize it?
I recognize it by the label and I recognize it by my initials on the evidence tape.
Is there an item inside the package that you recognize as well?
Yes, I do.
All right, and what do you recognize it to be?
I recognize it to be a piece of duct tape that was collected on the scene.
All right, Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce LB for identification into evidence.
No objections.
It will be received in evidence as states numbered.
177. And may we publish this item to the jury?
You may publish it.
Okay, can you extract that from the bag and show the members of the jury? Are there markings on that piece of duct tape?
Yes, there are.
And what do they say?
The imprintations on the duct tape say,
Yes, just a second. You may proceed, ma'am.
the imprintations on the duct tape say Hinkle Consumer Adhesives, Avon, Ohio, 4401, max temp 200 degrees F, and that's all I can read.
Did you also collect on the scene plastic pink strips with words?
Yes, I did.
If I may have LC for identification.
You may.
Have you take a look at that and tell me if you recognize the packaging as something you've had contact with in the past
Yes, I do.
and what you recognize it to be.
I recognize this by my initials on the evidence tape, and I recognize this as I had placed in this in this brown paper bag, pink wording strip of packages and in.
Why is he standing there? I guess I'm confused.
There's another item inside the exterior packaging. Do you recognize that?
I don't recognize the brown paper bag.
Let me
That's
tell me if you
her
recognize what's
attorney.
contained within the bag.
Yes, I do.
And what you recognize those items to be.
I recognize them to be lettering that I had collected out on the scene.
You can hold that up here and let me see the exterior package. Your Honor, at this point in time, I would seek to introduce LC for identification into evidence.
Be received in evidence as states numbered.
Your Honor, may the witness publish the items in the package to the jury.
She may.
Yeah, I'm confused why he's just like, I mean, I guess he does have a right.
Can't see it. It may be helpful if you put the
Hold on.
document camera up and then have them placed on the document.
I know what he's doing. He's standing up there to make sure that exactly what they say they are pulling out is being pulled out. For instance, like he is, think of him like as an Alan Jackson wanting to see how many pieces of headlight is being pulled out of this package that supposedly has Karen Reed's taillight in it. Like he is making sure that procedurally they are doing what they say they are doing, but I don't know if he did it before during the trial, but I definitely have noticed it these last 2 days within the trial. And this is also a good time to ask, please make sure to like the stream. And if you are enjoying it, to share it. Today has been a really weird day. It's been like, it's been a really weird day. So that would make me feel better if you guys could help out. Thank you.
Document camera.
Yes, Your Honor. Or maybe the piece of paper.
That's what I said.
You may want to zoom in a little bit.
Coco, this cat has just
The
today.
pink plastic word items that you recovered from the scene.
Yes, they are.
Maybe she needs to go to the vet. She's driving him crazy. She's driving me crazy. Like being bad, not just like being a curious kitten, like acting out.
Thank you, Ms. Welch. Your Honor, I have no further questions of the witness.
Cross-examination.
Good morning, Ms. Welch.
Good morning.
Can I- May I publish what's in evidence as 201, Your Honor? Do
States Exhibit 201, you may publish.
you see that, Ms. Welch?
Yes, I do.
So ladies and gentlemen of the jury, see that? Okay. This is a photograph of the street, correct?
It's a photograph of wooded area with a section of the street. That's correct.
Sorry. How far from the edge of the street to the first area where the weed line begins would you say that is?
I don't know. You would have to ask Supervisor Murdoch with the diagram.
Okay. Did you document in your report how far that is?
No, I did not.
Okay. Do you recall approximately, and I'm not asking for an exact figure, but how many feet from the edge of the cement before you get into the woods?
Before I get into the woods or to the grass line?
To the, I guess, the weed area where there's more vegetation.
I would have to guess 10 feet,
Okay. And
possibly.
how far from the cement to where the skull was found? How far from the street, from the cement, was the skull found?
I would have to refer to a report that I brought with me, another CSI wrote up.
Please go ahead and refer. Report.
Okay. According to the report written by the other CSI who took the measurements, the skull was approximately 19 feet, 8 inches from south of Suburban Drive.
So, Your Honor, may I have a witness stand down to measure, to demonstrate for the jury how far that is?
You may.
Can you please step down and
Use the edge of this brass area so all the members of the jury can see that.
I'm going to put up a new poll because I'm torn about tomorrow after today.
Now, you testified up to the main area was 10 feet, correct?
That was okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. So if you were standing or walking on the grassy area, this is how far away you would be from the skull.
For what you had asked about the actual vegetation, then yes.
Everyone see. Good.
Viewers don't see you.
now, the piece of duct tape that was just introduced into evidence, and I'm referring to
State evidence 277.
where was this item found?
That piece of duct tape, again, was to the southwest of the area from which the skull was collected.
Okay, how far away?
I don't know. You would have to ask Mr. Murdoch with the diagram.
Okay, do you
Thank
have any
you.
reports or indication as to how, was it in area A?
No, it was not.
Yeah.
So is it your understanding that it was approximately 10 feet away?
I don't know. You would have to ask Mr. Murdoch.
Okay, but it certainly wasn't in the area where the bag and the skull was found.
That's correct.
And that duct tape appears to be the same make of, or the same kind of duct tape with the same insignia as the one found near the skull.
It had the same imprintations. That's correct.
No further questions.
Redirect?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
One more question. G1. May I publish GY, which is state's evidence? 274, Your Honor.
You may publish.
Can you see that, Ms. Welsh?
Yes, I can.
Can the ladies and gentlemen of the jury see? Okay. These items here that I'm pointing, I'm sorry, these items that I'm pointing out, do you know what they are?
Yes, they are stones.
Okay. And were they found throughout the area where the remains were found?
Yes, they were.
In fact, there were some that were very close to the remains, were they not?
I recall one that was close to the remains.
And they are like stone pavers?
I don't know what type of stone, but yes, it could be consistent with pavers.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Recross.
So
I mean,
the
redirect,
next
I'm sorry.
guy,
Okay.
the next guy is really boring. Basically what he does is, he measured how far away, like, the body was from the road, how far away the pavement is from the brush line, where they found duct tape. It's just, in my opinion, it wasn't big. It wasn't extremely helpful. But I wasn't expecting to go this far. Give me 1 second. Can you guys hear that in the background? You know what? I think that this is probably a sign to shut down for the night. We've just been really lagging, and if no one's watching, I don't want, like, I want to make sure that I hold out, and we're getting to the really important stuff. And it's just been a really weird night. Like, it's been a really weird night. So I think it's in my best interest, because I'm not very excitable right now, that we move along. And I'm so sorry to say that I haven't figured out how to do the redirect ever since my streams got monetized. It's so weird. Yeah, that's the other thing. Coco is like really causing a ruckus here in this home. I don't know if you heard Frank say, is it a full moon? Because it's just weird. So I will be here tomorrow. I'm probably going to be a little bit early. I don't know. Now that I say that, I want to look at the analytics from tonight, because if it was bad today, then it's absolutely going to be bad tomorrow. And I don't want to stream if it's not getting to the right people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want as many eyes on this as possible. But I appreciate the mods. I appreciate those of you who are watching. I appreciate you guys so much. It takes a lot to do all of this, and I want to make sure that we are putting out as great of material as we possibly can. So if you haven't hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Please make sure to do that before you leave. And yeah, turn on your notifications. That'll be the best way to know when I'm going live, or to join our Discord server, which, if you haven't done that yet, is in the video description. Yeah, this is the grueling part of the trial. So I don't know what you mean, banter. All right, guys. It's been an afternoon. Okay, I'll see you guys soon. Turn on the notifications so you know when I go live next. Okay, thanks. Bye.